Chapter 141. Tanghua did not intend to return immediately. This place was still considered quiet. Moreover, the things she left in the system space could be used in this world. Of course, she had to use them to their fullest. She took out a formation plate and placed it around. After confirming that there were no problems, she took out a bunch of spirit pills and ate the ones that could be eaten. Host, are you not afraid of exploding? Eat less. Although it's been a long time since you encountered a cultivation world, you don't have to be so anxious. If I don't eat them, should I leave them to gather dust? When I go to the next world, I'll bring some local specialties of this world to replenish my stock. Who knows, I might be able to use them one day. The system was speechless. However, most of the worlds were useless. In worlds without magical powers, things like spirit pills would kill people. Tanghua had already entered a state of cultivation. The system did not want to disturb her anymore. 3 months later, Tanghua checked the condition of her body and smiled. Middle stage primordial general. Not bad. System. You must have forgotten that Tanghaohui is only at the early stage primordial lord realm. He has not advanced for many years. You went from early stage primordial scholar to early stage primordial general in 3 months. Are you still not satisfied? Tanghua ignored the system. She was really satisfied with this world. It was not a society ruled by law. There was no need to pay attention to the rules and regulations. She was a little excited. System, more than a little. Her eyes flashed. She removed the formation and left the cave. This mountain was still quite far from the main city of the immortal Ping country. The surrounding mountains were endless. Of course, it was also very dangerous. After going down the mountain, she hired a carriage. Not long after, the carriage was stopped by someone. Tanghua did not lift the curtain. She only asked, "Who is it?" "Miss, my horse is dead tired. Is it convenient for you to hitch a ride?" Yizhou was also a little helpless. He was born lazy and did not like to walk. He did not expect his horse to die on the road. There were no villages or shops around. He could not find another good horse. Coincidentally, he saw a luxurious carriage coming from behind. His eyes lit up and he could not help but stop it. "It's not convenient. Miss, do me a favor. I'm quite beautiful. I can be your eye candy." Yizhou did not give up. Although he was lazy, he was also a cultivation maniac. Therefore, he liked to sit in the carriage and cultivate while enjoying the scenery. If he were to walk on foot, he had yet to learn how to cultivate while walking. Tanghua lifted the curtain and glanced outside. Sure enough, there was a horse lying on the ground. It seemed to have died of exhaustion. In front of him was a young master in a red robe. He blinked his peach blossom eyes and revealed a smile that he thought was very charming. She stared at the young master's face and narrowed her eyes. Yizhou's eyes flashed. He puffed out his chest, and a smile appeared on his face. "If the price is to sell your body, that's fine too." He took 2 steps forward and looked at Tanghua's face. He felt a little familiar, but he didn't think too much about it. "If you like it." "Not interested." "Then What? You don't like her?" Yizhou couldn't bring himself to laugh. He considered himself to be the most handsome man in the entire continent and had even offered to sleep with her. But in the end, he had been rejected. "However, I can hitch a ride with you." Yizhou was stunned. She didn't like him and even wanted him to hitch a ride. A trace of deep thought flashed through his eyes. Did this girl have a purpose, or did she know him? "You don't want to hitch a ride?" Tanghua laughed. Her slightly young face was still exquisite and beautiful. Yizhou was also stunned. "I want to chat with more like-minded people. I want to follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. I want to talk about life and find friends." Chapter 142. A ride. Yizhou no longer hesitated. He climbed into the carriage and sat across from Tanghua. Fortunately, the carriage was very spacious and there were only the 2 of them inside. There was also a small table between the 2 of them with warm tea and 2 plates of pastries. From this, it could be seen that the woman in front of him was someone who knew how to enjoy life. "Zhou Yi." Tanghua stared at Yizhou's face. She lowered her eyes and smiled, so dishonest. Yizhou's face was a bit uncomfortable. He squeezed out 2 words, "Yizhou." "Tanghua." Tanghua ate a piece of pastry. Yizhou was looking at her, and she was also looking at Yizhou. She saw that the other party's eyes revealed a look of disbelief when he heard her name. She was very happy and ate another piece of pastry. You know me? Tangwa put her crutch on the table and leaned closer to Yizhou. Her delicate face was so close that Yizhou was dazed, especially when there was an intoxicating fragrance drifting over. He held it in for a while before spitting out a sentence. Miss Tang, I kind of want to get off the carriage. He didn't want to ride anymore. If he wanted to ride, then so be it. How did he meet this pestering woman? Calculating that she would be 18 in 2 years, Yizhou's heart trembled. That damned engagement, that damned joke. How could they take it seriously? Okay. Tangwa didn't stop him, driver. Stop for a moment. Yizhou didn't think it would be so easy. He was a bit surprised and didn't move for a moment. Don't you have anything you want to say? He asked tentatively. I do. Tangwa seemed to recall something and said, Get off from here today and never come back again. Yizhou, the fiancé that the original owner had found for himself when he was young. No matter if it was the original owner's life or his previous life, Yizhou had always avoided the original owner. In Tang Huan's previous life, the original owner cultivated so hard just to catch up to Yizhou. Yizhou only felt that when he said that he wanted to marry her as his wife when he was young, it was just a joke and couldn't be taken seriously. But the original owner remembered it. Since then, she had been chasing after him. Later on, Yizhou raised a condition. As long as she could break through the void with him, he would agree to the original condition. In that life, when the original owner reached the peak of her cultivation, she died for Yizhou. In her previous life, before marrying into that small family, she had sent a message to Yizhou. Of course, there was no reply and she died with regrets. Therefore, she let Yizhou get into the carriage. Still not going down? Yizhou was in a bit of a dilemma. He originally thought that it was a woman with an ulterior motive, but he didn't expect it to be the little girl who was engaged to him. If you don't go down, I'll go back and ask the Night Emperor to help us preside over the wedding. You wish. Yizhou didn't hesitate anymore. In a flash, a red shadow flashed past his eyes and he jumped out of the carriage. When we were young, it was just a joke. Miss Tang, do you have to be so persistent? Tangwa lifted the curtain with a teacup in her hand, the corners of her mouth curling up slightly. Remember what I said, don't get into my carriage in the future. After we return to the main city, don't be in a hurry to leave. I'll ask the Night Emperor to help us cancel the engagement. Tangwa took a sip of the wine and tea. I won't pester you any more in the future. I hope you won't pester me either. Don't worry, I won't pester you, little pester. Yizhou breathed a sigh of relief. From now on, he could finally cultivate in peace and not be afraid of being married. You really decided to cancel the engagement? Yizhou asked uncertainly. It was obviously a very happy thing, but he always felt a little uneasy. Tangwa nodded. It's too tiring to chase you. I don't want to chase anymore. There are many people who are better looking than you. Why should I waste all my energy on you? After thinking about it, I feel that it's not worth it. Chapter 143. Yizhou did not leave directly, but followed beside the carriage. The carriage was not fast, and he was suddenly not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he was thinking that the little pester really did not pester him anymore. She gave up just like that. Didn't she say that she would not marry anyone else and would pester him for the rest of her life? Yizhou's beautiful eyebrows wrinkled. He could not figure it out no matter how he thought about it. He could not help but stare at the carriage. He did not know what had happened to the little pester all these years that she actually gave up pestering him. Then, Miss Tang, since we have peacefully annulled the engagement, can I take the carriage as a friend? No, I have no interest in being friends with my ex. I am afraid that my future present will misunderstand. A woman's pleasant voice came from the carriage. Yizhou could not help but feel a little depressed. He should have quickened his pace and left, but for some reason, he followed the pace of the carriage. Perhaps he should figure out why the little pester canceled the engagement. He did not believe that excuse. Bones. In the carriage, Tangwa sneered at the system. She leaned against the cushion and began to cultivate with her eyes closed. The corners of her mouth curved into a faint smile. Yizhou had not seen Tangwa for many years. He did not want to meet her again under such circumstances. Knowing that Tanghua was willing to cancel the engagement with him, he could not help but guess why the other party had made such a decision. Occasionally, he turned his head to look at the carriage. When the wind lifted the curtain of the carriage window, he could vaguely see the person inside. He was afraid of being seen, so he quickly turned his head and pretended to be hurrying along seriously. After waiting for a long time, the person in the carriage did not seem to notice him. He could not help but look again. Only then did he realize that the other party was actually resting with her eyes closed. For some reason, Yi Zhou had an indescribable complex feeling in his heart. For the past few days, Tanghua basically did not communicate with Yi Zhou except for getting off to eat. Occasionally, Yi Zhou wanted to talk about something, but he would be quickly blocked by the other party. The words he wanted to say could suffocate him to death. Now Yi Zhou was no longer walking outside the carriage. As early as when he came to a small town, he bought a carriage and was driven by the previous coachman. Finally, he did not need to walk with his legs. Even so, he still followed Tanghua's car closely and had no intention of leaving. In fact, he didn't know why. I heard that the eldest daughter of the Tang family was seriously injured and hasn't recovered yet. I've also heard about it. Although the Tang clan kept it a secret, and I haven't seen the Tang clan's daughter for a few months. According to sources, the eldest daughter of the Tang clan was carried back by someone. She was covered in blood and looked so tragic. It's already been more than 3 months. I don't know if there's any news from the Tang. It's not easy for the Tang to produce such a genius. If he's really crippled, it will be a great loss. When they entered Ping City, which was the main city of Ping Xian country, everyone was talking about the Tang incident. Even if he's crippled, at least he's still alive. I heard that there's still no news of the eldest daughter of the Tang clan. I wonder if she was eaten by a demon beast. That's right. I remember that the eldest daughter of the Tang clan and the eldest daughter of the Tang clan went out to train together. Even the eldest daughter of the Tang clan was doomed, not to mention the eldest daughter of the Tang clan whose cultivation level is lower than hers. They're probably dead. I heard that they provoked a demon beast with the strength of a Yuan Jun. How could they be a match for it? As Tanghua drove the carriage towards the Tang clan, Yi Zhou's eyes flashed with doubt. From time to time, his gaze would look at the carriage that was traveling side by side. Chapter 144. Second Miss? Tanghua jumped down from the carriage and arrived at the entrance of the Tang residence. When the Tang servants saw her, it was as if they had seen a ghost. Trembling, they confirmed several times that Tanghua was really not a ghost, but a human. One of the servants ran inside and shouted as he ran, "Second Miss is back! Second Miss is back!" Tanghua raised her eyes and pretended not to see the astonishment in the servant's eyes. "Go clean up my courtyard and bring some food." Hearing the order, the servant hurriedly went to carry it out. Miss Tang did not have a good reputation. She had an eccentric temper and was arrogant. If she was not satisfied, these servants would not have a good ending. Tanghua took a step forward and was suddenly stopped by a voice behind her. "Hey, Miss Tang, aren't you going to invite me in?" Being treated like air, this feeling could only be understood after experiencing it firsthand. Yi Zhou was very embarrassed. The little girl who only revolved around him when he was young had changed a lot. Tanghua turned around and glanced at the red-robed young master standing at the entrance. She took 2 steps forward and stood in front of him. A young and delicate face approached, and the faint fragrance of a daughter could not help but waft into his nose. For a moment, he was very nervous. He could not help but pinch his sleeves and look at her with vigilance. He looked like a good man who was being molested by a hooligan. Tanghua's lips curved, and her slender fingers lifted Yi Zhou's chin. Her eyes were smiling as she said, "Do you know what it means to go in with me?" "What?" Yi Zhou stammered as he asked. He was a little nervous. Wasn't it just going in to drink tea and be a guest? In any case, Lady Tang was his aunt. If he went in to see his aunt, it should not be a problem, right? Then, "Miss Tang, if you want to talk, just talk. Don't get touchy." Yi Zhou reacted and jumped far away, afraid that Tanghua would do something to him again. Tanghua put down her hand and laughed softly. "If you want to go into the Tang residence with me, Then you have to be a member of my family, Tang family, or one of my people. Yizhou, do you want to be one of my people? Her words caused Yizhou's expression to change greatly. He stared at Tang Guo with vigilance, and a look of realization appeared on his face. All right, little pester. I thought you understood. So you were just digging a hole for me to jump into. Fortunately, he did not go in directly, otherwise he would have fallen into her trap. Let me tell you, you're dreaming. Yizhou, I will never marry you. Yizhou, only have 3 paths, and that is to cultivate, and cultivate. Yizhou said cautiously, don't think that you can seduce me just because you're pretty. My heart is very firm. As he said this, he lifted his chin and puffed out his chest, looking very proud. Besides, Yizhou, am not any worse than you. If I like beauty, why don't I look at myself? Oh, so you're not going in? Tangwa smiled softly. Her appearance was really beautiful. Yizhou could not help but be dazzled. Just as he said, his heart was firm, so he quickly reacted and became calm. Of course, I won't be fooled. I knew you wouldn't give up. He was a little regretful. Every year, he would secretly come back and never plan to see her. He did not expect that after more than 10 years, she would still be so difficult to deal with. She had even learned to use tricks. Just as he was secretly wondering if he should leave early this time, Tangwa stopped smiling. Yizhou, this is your own decision. I've given you the last chance, so you can't go back on your words. Tomorrow, I will go to the palace and explain to the Yi Emperor about the cancellation of the engagement. After speaking, Tangwa turned and entered the Tang residence. Yizhou was stunned. Chapter 145. Second Miss, Master wants to see you. Tangwa was having her meal. When she heard the servant, she did not even look up. She was still eating her meal calmly and elegantly. Every movement of hers was filled with nobility. The servant did not even dare to raise his head. The servant remembered Tang Haohui's order to ask Tangwa to go over immediately. He raised his head carefully and repeated what he said. After that, he realized that Tangwa was still eating her meal. She did not even move her butt. Second, I know. Eat first before you go over. The servant trembled and did not dare to say anything else. He felt that the second miss was even more arrogant than before. Where is Tang Huan? Tangwa asked casually. To be honest, the original owner of this body was a very proud person. In Tang Huan's previous life, the original owner of this body followed Yizhou wholeheartedly. She did not purposely target Tang Huan. After Tang Huan was reborn, he repeatedly targeted the original owner of this body. All the opportunities were taken away by him. This was Tang Huan's fault. Since he was reborn, he should just live a peaceful life. Why did he have to cause trouble? It made her want to do the same too. Calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. Host, you can cause trouble if you want, but don't kill her. Anyway, you can live for a long time. Once she dies, you will not be affected. The system secretly gave Tangwa an idea. Tangwa smiled. Tong, why are you siding with me now? The system's attitude changed drastically after the last 2 worlds. Oh, that. Host, I realize that following you is more promising. Although I don't know why, I have a vague feeling in my heart. He was telling the truth. Tangwa laughed softly. The system trembled. He should not be wrong. At least you know your place. After all, you are just a string of data that only knows the plot. If it wasn't for me, you would have been destroyed long ago. System, angry. Hold it in. You are right. Hearing the woman's pleasant laughter, the servants lowered their heads even more. They did not even dare to breathe. The second miss was indeed even more frightening. If she was not satisfied, who knew if she would be sold directly? Before Tangwa could finish eating, there was a burst of messy footsteps outside. Not long after, a gorgeously dressed woman walked in surrounded by more than a dozen servants. Her posture was even more ostentatious than the mistress. The family Tang servants were not surprised by this. Who told concubine Lu to be favored and have a talented daughter like the eldest miss of the family Tang family? Just based on this, Tang Haohui would treat her well. Tangwa raised her eyelids. Lu Yinyang had already entered the room. She didn't have the slightest intention of being polite. She found a place to sit down, as if she was the mistress of the house. I heard that second miss only came back today. Lu Inyang's beautiful brows furrowed. Where have you been these past few months? You went out with Huaner. Huaner came back with serious injuries 3 months ago. After waking up, she has been worried about you. Since you're fine, why not send a message home so that Huaner can be at ease? Huaner has been worried about you and is still recuperating. After the second miss came back, she didn't care about you. She really has the mood to eat and drink here. It is really impressive. Lu Inyang pursed her lips, hurt flashing in her eyes. Huaner is more talented than you, making the second miss jealous. But you can't hate Huaner because of this. In any case, you are sisters and have to support each other. Crunch. The sound of Tanghua biting into the crispy bone ball sounded. The surrounding servants lowered their heads, not daring to laugh. Lu Inyang's expression turned ugly, and she pinched her handkerchief. Chapter 146. How does concubine Lu know that I'm not injured? And how do you know if there's a problem with my cultivation? I'm the eldest daughter of the family Tang. I've been missing for 3 months, but the family Tang didn't seem to have sent anyone to look for me, right? Concubine Lu is concerned about me. Shouldn't you be concerned about my well-being? I'm listening. Why are you blaming me for running around and making you worry? Since you're worried, then let's go back to the previous question. Why didn't you come to find me? Tanghua ate a crispy bone ball and raised her eyes. If concubine Lu is really concerned and worried about me, you should put on a worried look now and use makeup to make your face whiter to make yourself look haggard. It should be more realistic. After dressing up, when you walk into my courtyard, you have to pretend that you want to cry. Frowning, you have to hold my hand gently and ask, "Second miss, you've been missing for so long these days. I'm really worried to death. Are you injured? Are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? I'll order the chef to make it." Then, you should make it clear how many people you've sent to look for me these days. How worried my father is about me, how worried Tang Huan is about me, and how worried you are about me. It's best if you hug me and cry again. Finally, make it clear and say some kind words that hurt me. I hate that I can't let Tang Huan suffer in my place. I should be touched. Tanghua nodded, not caring about Lu Inyang's face that was as colorful as a rainbow. Today, concubine Lu is dressed very brightly. If I didn't know that you were just a concubine of my family Tang, I would really think that you were a proper mistress of the family Tang. The makeup on her face is the peach blossom makeup that's popular in Ping City recently. Her complexion looks pretty good. Most likely, Tang Huan's injuries are fine. When she came in, there was a hint of joy in the corner of her eyes. It's a blessing in disguise that Tang Huan's cultivation has broken through. Every time Tanghua said something, concubine Lu's expression changed. Let me guess, Tang Huan's current cultivation. When we parted 3 months ago, her cultivation base was at the late stage of the Yuan scholar realm. To be able to make concubine Lu stop worrying and unable to hide the joy in her eyes, then she should be at the early stage of the Yuan general realm, right? At this point, Lu concubine's face was pale. She looked at Tanghua in horror. She didn't understand why she guessed it. Tanghua ate the last piece of vegetable and ate some desserts. Finally, she wiped the corners of her mouth with satisfaction. Lu Inyang should want to calm down and calm the anger in her chest that is about to explode. I want to accompany you. My father should be impatient. The corners of Tanghua's mouth curled up. She got up and walked outside. When she reached the door, concubine Lu's voice sounded, and it was somewhat flustered and exasperated. Second young mistress, no matter how eloquent you are, you have to have the strength to speak in the family Tang. Now that Huan is already at the early stage of the Yuan general realm, the position of the head of the family Tang will not belong to you just because you are the legitimate daughter. When Huan becomes the head of the family Tang, I will be the mother of the head of the family. Hearing this, Tanghua only sneered. This kind of disdainful laughter made concubine Lu feel very uncomfortable. Sooner or later, she pinched her handkerchief. Sooner or later, she would chase Tanghua, this little bitch, out. Why are you only here now? Tang Haohui was more and more dissatisfied with this legitimate daughter. He frowned. Her talent was not as good as Huan and her personality was as annoying as her mother's. Arrogant and despotic, unforgiving, completely lacking Huan Er's obedience and concubine Lu's thoughtfulness. Where have you been these 3 months? Chapter 147. Tanghua casually found a seat and sat down. I'm here today to discuss something with you. Tang Haohui frowned, and disgust flashed across his eyes. This daughter of his was indeed as unlikable as her mother. Other than having a bit of cultivation talent, he really could not find any other good points. On the other hand, Huan Er was humble, beautiful, and extremely talented. This time, she even profited from a disaster and broke through to the early stage of the Yuan general realm. She was indeed his good daughter. What is it? I want to break off the engagement with Yi Zhou. What? Tang Haohui was shocked. Yi Zhou was the twin brother of the current Yi Emperor. He was young and very talented in cultivation. He was not greedy for power and was a cultivation fanatic. The engagement between his daughter and Yi Zhou was set by the retired emperor. After the retired emperor abdicated, he focused on seclusion and did not care about these things. To be honest, he was unwilling to break off the engagement between Tanghua and Yi Zhou. Nonsense. The engagement is not something you can break off just because you want to. Tanghua smiled. I'm just here to inform you. There's no room for discussion. You disappeared for 3 months for no reason and want to break off the engagement as soon as you come back. Do you respect me as your father? You admit that you're my father? Tanghua widened her eyes. Then do you know why I didn't come back for 3 months? Tang Haohui thought of something and his expression changed. In the end, he did not dwell on this matter. In short, I will not agree to break off the engagement. Unless you give me a reason. The two parted on bad terms. Tanghua was not surprised by the result. As she said, she was just here to inform him. Not long after Tanghua left, concubine Lu entered the study. Family Tang went straight out of the Family Tang and headed in the direction of the palace. Family Tang did not expect that she would really break off the engagement. Host, do you need to be so fast? Also, you were very arrogant just now. If you're not arrogant, there won't be trouble. If there's no trouble, you can't fight. Understand? The system understood. The host was so bored that she wanted to fight. The first 2 worlds were really too peaceful. She can't hold it in anymore, can she? As soon as Tanghua entered the palace, Yi Zhou knew about it. When she did not see Yi Huang, Yi Zhou quickly rushed in front of her and stared at her warily. What are you doing here? Yi Zhou looked at her as if she was about to do something bad. Are you trying to get my imperial brother to get engaged while I'm not paying attention? Tanghua walked up to Yi Zhou and glanced at him. I have to say, you're overthinking things. After saying that, she walked forward. Yi Zhou chased after her, his eyes flashing with deep thought and a little nervousness. If this little pester really got married later, he must use all kinds of methods to oppose it. At worst, he could just leave and come back next year. Yes, it's decided then. Annul the engagement. The Night Emperor, who was also the Emperor of the immortal peace country, Yi Fan, was also very surprised by Tanghua's intentions. He sized up Tanghua a few times. Guo, are you sure you really want to annul the engagement? He glanced at Yi Zhou at the side and frowned slightly. Could it be that his cultivation fanatic brother had done something to threaten the little girl? This girl had been looking forward to getting married every day for more than 10 years. Why did she suddenly want to annul the engagement? I'm sure. Tanghua's words were firm. She looked at Yi Zhou and said, since Yi Zhou doesn't like me, why do I have to get close to him? I've also thought it through. I might as well annul the engagement, so that he won't avoid me like a snake or scorpion. Chapter 148. Little troublemaker, did you really call off the engagement without batting an eyelid? Yi Zhou followed Tanghua out with a complicated expression. He had thought that she was going to play some tricks. Who knew that she would be so straightforward? She had found his brother and called off the engagement without any hesitation. The scheme that he had expected did not happen. He should have been happy, but he felt empty inside. Well, although our engagement has been called off, we are still related by blood. You should call me cousin. If you are bullied in the future, you can come and look for me. Tanghua turned around. A smile appeared on her exquisite face. She was still so arrogant. No need. You got what you wanted. I won't pester you in the future. Cousin. Yi Zhou had a bitter expression on his face. I know you resent me in your heart. That engagement was just a joke when we were kids. I really didn't think that you would take it seriously and even make Imperial Father agree to it. If I had known, I wouldn't have joked with you. At that time, his little cousin was only 5 years old, and he was only 7 years old. When he first saw Tanghua, he thought that she was pretty. When he thought of the bride mentioned in the opera, he said that he wanted his cousin to be his bride. Who knew that she would always remember it? Tanghua took a few steps towards Yi Zhou and lifted her chin. Since you were joking, why did you agree to it? You could have rejected it. If you had rejected it, today's events would not have happened. I wouldn't have waited for more than 10 years for nothing. In the second year of the engagement, you left. I think you regretted it then. For more than 10 years, even when you returned to Pingcheng, you didn't meet me. If I want to see you, I have to ask eldest cousin for a portrait. You said that you didn't know when you were young. Now that you are older, you should know. If you had rejected it earlier, you wouldn't have given me so much hope. Yi Zhou felt very guilty and did not know what to say. All right, I have thought it through. I won't pester you anymore. Let's pretend that the past never existed. Tanghua looked away and turned to leave. Yi Zhou looked at her slowly disappearing figure and felt a little lost. Zhou, Guo is a good girl. Although she is a little arrogant, she is loyal to you. You have really hurt her. No wonder she insisted on breaking off the engagement. Yi Huang walked out and saw Yi Zhou's hesitant look. He shook his head and said, since you don't like her, it's good to break off the engagement. You don't want to hold her back. But, Zhou, do you really not like her? My son is so stubborn. If she breaks off the engagement, then she must not be involved with you. Even if you want to go back on your word in the future, you won't have a chance. Brother, you worry too much. I only have beautiful scenery, good food, and cultivation in my heart. My biggest wish is to break through the void, not to have children. It's good that she broke off the engagement, so that I won't delay it. Yi Zhou frowned. I'm just a little worried. Why did she suddenly break off the engagement? She's so stubborn. I don't know what happened in the past few months to make her understand. Since you've broken off the engagement, don't go out all day. Keep an eye on Guo in case she gets bullied. Although she is our cousin, you should understand her current situation. Yi Zhou turned around and asked doubtfully, what's wrong? Is my cousin's situation not good? She is the eldest daughter of the Tang family. Could it be that someone bullied her? Yi Huang smiled and disagreed with Yi Zhou's thoughts. Who told you that the eldest daughter of the Tang family won't be bullied? Chapter 149. Aunt didn't like her, and because her talent was not as good as that of the concubine's daughter, she was even more unwilling to treat her well. Tang Haohui doted on the concubine and held the concubine's daughter in high regard. Do you think she was in a good situation? Just say that the experience 3 months ago. Only the people present know what happened. Before she came back, many people rumored that she had died in the mouth of a demon beast. Hearing this, Yi Zhou's heart trembled. To be honest, he only thought that his cousin, as a young miss of an aristocratic family, could only bully others. How could he have known that there were so many twists and turns in this matter? Zhou, do you know why this girl is so set on you? She hasn't changed for more than 10 years. Yi Zhou pursed his lips. Of course he didn't know. He only thought that this girl was a little pester. He had avoided her for more than 10 years because he was afraid of being married. At that time, she was about 5 years old. She was forced to cultivate since she was a child, and by chance, she was brought into the palace by Imperial Mother. You two were about the same age, so she let you play together. Do you remember what you did with her at that time? Thinking of his childhood, Yi Zhou was a little excited. I remember. I took her to the imperial kitchen and asked the chef to make every kind of pastry. We tasted them one by one. Then I took her to fly a kite and shared my gadgets with her to play with. Finally, I went to the imperial garden, picked the flowers that Imperial Mother had grown, and put one on her. At this point, Yi Zhou's cheeks twitched a little. It was also this time that I said something that I would regret until the end, and asked her to be my bride. Yi Huang couldn't help but laugh. It's good that you know. Why did she choose you? It's because she was forced to cultivate by Aunt since she was a child, and basically had no time to play. Imperial Mother felt sorry for her, so she brought her into the palace to relax. Who knew that she would be misunderstood by you? At that time, cousin was only 5 years old. Yizhou couldn't help but ask. Aunt was so cruel. Yi Huang put away his smile. Aunt was so strong. Imperial Mother married Imperial Father, and she married Tang Haohui. She was unwilling, thinking that she was not bad and should also marry someone like Imperial Father. However, since she was already married, she could only let her cousin complete the marriage. Yizhou couldn't help but picture it in his mind. The little girl was being lectured by her mother, and all she did was cultivate. Just thinking about it made his heart ache. Now that she has broken off the engagement with you, little Aunt probably doesn't know about it. If she knew, I don't know how much she would suffer. Imperial brother, Yizhou always felt that he was unpardonably wicked. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. Yi Huang waved his hand and said, "Forget it. Cousin has thought it through and doesn't want to force you. You don't have to take it to heart. Just take care of her." Yi Huang's guess was right. When Tang Guo returned to the family Tang, she was invited over by Bao Yunzi, who was also Tang Guo's biological mother. "Your father told me that you want to break off the engagement with Zhou." Bao Yunzi was a beauty. Her every movement was filled with the bearing of a young lady from an aristocratic family. Whether it was raising her head or lowering her head, raising her eyebrows or curling her lips, it was very beautiful. She was wearing a white dress, which made her temperament even more elegant and refined, as if she was a fairy who had descended to the mortal world. The teacup on the coffee table was still a little warm, and the white steam coming out of it seemed to be the celestial aura that came with her. "Is it because your cultivation is not as good as Tang Huan's? Zhou doesn't like you anymore. I told you to work hard to cultivate long ago, but you didn't listen." Bao Yunzi looked to be in her late 20s. When she frowned, it made one's heart ache. However, the words that came out of her mouth were like a sharp knife that cut one's heart. Chapter 150. Since you feel ashamed of your inferiority and think that you are not good enough for Zhou, then you should practice hard and surpass him so that he will treat you differently. Don't think about breaking off the engagement all day long, and use this as an excuse to escape from reality. You, Yi Zhou, and I have already broken off the engagement. Work harder. What? Bao Yunzi, who had been calm all this while, suddenly stood up and glared at Tang Guo. No matter how beautiful her eyes were, they looked ferocious when she was angry, especially the disdain in her eyes, which ruined her perfect face. Bao Yunzi's cheeks were slightly red, not because she was shy, but because she was angry about this matter. She only looked at Tang Guo and did not say anything. The room was eerily quiet. As the eldest daughter of an aristocratic family, no matter how angry she was, she would not let her image be ruined. However, her eyes, and expression betrayed her thoughts. "You must have made Zhou unhappy." Tang Guo thought that Bao Yunzi was going to say something, but when she heard Bao Yunzi's words, which seemed to have condemned her, she laughed in her heart. From Bao Yunzi's point of view, the original owner of the body had been chasing after Yi Zhou's footsteps for more than 10 years. Ping Cheng, and even the entire Ping Xian country, had heard about the Tang family's eldest daughter's love for her fiancé. Bao Yunzi thought that the original owner of the body would not break off the engagement. She was right. The Tang Guo in front of her was no longer the original owner of the body. She was no longer the silly girl who was infatuated with Yi Zhou. Bao Yunzi did not scold Tang Guo anymore. Instead, she looked at her with a disappointed and hurt expression. "It's fine if you can't beat Tang Huan, but you can't even keep an eye on your fiancé. Other than this pretty face, what else do you have? Even your good looks were bestowed upon you by me. Tell me, what else do you have to offer?" No wonder Tang Haohui doesn't like you. The redness on Bao Yunzi's face faded. She frowned and seemed a little helpless. "I, Bao Yunzi, was born in the Bao family. Since young, I have been envied by everyone. My background, appearance, and talent are all top-notch. How did I give birth to a daughter like you who doesn't know how to make progress?" Bao Yunzi's tone almost said, "I suspect you are not my daughter." The system, who was listening at the side, was a little angry. How can there be such a mother in this world? Every word she says is like a knife, stabbing into people's hearts. If the original owner of this body were to hear this, his life would be shortened by a few decades. To think that I, Bao Yunzi, who has been proud all my life, would give birth to a daughter who can't even compare to a concubine. Bao Yunzi's face was filled with disappointment as she muttered to herself. She no longer paid any attention to Tanghua. She didn't want to waste her breath on such a useless daughter, so she didn't want her to exist anymore. Bao Yunzi muttered to herself for a while, then turned and left. Tanghua glanced at the cup of cold tea and felt a little stifled in her heart. It was not that she cared about Bao Yunzi, but it was the feelings of the original body that remained in this body. Whenever she transmigrated into someone else's body, she would always receive all her emotions, hatred, and resentment. With her experience of transmigrating through countless worlds, she could basically control these emotions very well. She felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She simply found a place to sit down and carefully recalled the love that the family Tang couple had given her in the previous world. As she reminisced, the discomfort in her heart disappeared, and a smile appeared on her face again. When she opened her eyes, the corner of her lips curled up slightly, and she laughed softly. It's really healing. System, he didn't understand. The host could have just acted and didn't need to put in effort, but she had to put in effort in every world. Host, do you still believe in love and sincerity? I do. System, I don't understand. Chapter 151. I heard that the eldest daughter of the family Tang family came back yesterday, and she came back safe and sound. Ah, is that true? Isn't that so? The eldest daughter of the family Tang family is friendly, but she almost died in the mouth of a demon beast. This eldest daughter disappeared for 3 months and came back quietly. Her life is very good. Do you think that she did something wrong to the eldest daughter of the family Tang family and caused the eldest daughter to be in danger? She hid outside for 3 months and didn't dare to come back. Didn't she come back after hearing that the eldest daughter of the family Tang family was not in danger? Yi Zhou thought about it and felt that he was not being kind. When he was young, it was because of his words that the engagement was made. After learning about his cousin's situation from his imperial brother, he couldn't let it go. He felt guilty and decided to make it up to Tanghua as her cousin. Unexpectedly, after leaving the palace, he heard a lot of discussions on the street. They were not good words, and he was angry when he heard it. His cousin was a little domineering and arrogant. Sometimes, he also felt that she was very hateful. However, he didn't believe that his cousin was the kind of person who would push someone into a demon beast. These people were talking nonsense without evidence. They were not afraid of their tongues being rotten. I have a cousin who works for the family Tang family. I heard that the engagement between the eldest daughter of the family Tang family and the little prince was broken. How can there be such a coincidence that the engagement was broken as soon as she came back? She would never break it on her own accord. There must be a problem with her character. The little prince doesn't want her anymore. That's right. Who in the immortal Peace Nation doesn't know that she shamelessly chased after the young prince for more than 10 years? In order to avoid her, the young prince rarely even returned to the palace. I'm guessing that the marriage agreement back then might have been obtained by her means. Now that she has done something bad, the little prince can't take it anymore and broke off the engagement. So what if she is the eldest daughter of the family Tang family? She can't hide the truth from the masses. The more he listened, the angrier Yi Zhou became. He released his aura and glared at the men who were standing on the street and discussing. What nonsense are you talking about? Yi Zhou stood in front of them. His aura shook their chests, and their eyes flashed with fear. They looked at each other, not understanding why this red-robed man suddenly came looking for trouble. Young master, we don't seem to have offended you, right? If it wasn't for the strength that he had displayed, they definitely wouldn't have been so polite. Yi Zhou flung his red robe sleeves and snorted. He took out his identity jade tablet and showed it to the men. Open your dog eyes and see what this is. When the men saw this, they trembled. Wasn't this the little prince? Her face turned pale. It would be strange if the little prince didn't get angry when they talked about him in front of him. Little prince, please forgive us. We just feel that it's unfair for you. It's also the family's eldest daughter who is insensible. How can she be worthy of you, little prince? As he spoke, he realized that the little prince's face had turned even uglier. "What nonsense are you bastards talking about?" Yizhou was really angry. The red-robed man also puffed up because of his anger. "I'm telling you, I didn't break off the engagement on my own accord. She doesn't want me anymore. Do you understand?" The man who was talking earlier was dumbfounded. The passers-by who heard the situation were also dumbfounded. "In the future, if I hear that I abandoned my cousin again, I'll cut off your tongues. The few of you." The man who was called out trembled and carefully glanced at Yizhou. "Don't you like to talk? Now I'm giving you a chance to redeem yourselves. Within a day, let everyone in Pingqing know that it's my cousin who doesn't want me anymore." Chapter 152. High-grade vitality pill. It can replenish vitality and be used for cultivation. Yizhou carefully placed a bottle of vitality pills in front of Tanghua. His handsome face revealed a fawning smile. Seeing Tanghua looking at him, he took out a milky white jade bottle and pushed it in front of Tanghua. Heaven Vitality Pill. It can help you break through a bottleneck in your cultivation. It's very useful and has no side effects. Cousin, you can rest assured. Tanghua still did not speak. She looked at Yizhou suspiciously. Yizhou was a little embarrassed. This was not something he could take out. He searched his storage bag and his eyes lit up. He took out a green jade bottle that was only 2 fingers wide. He could vaguely see liquid flowing inside. Ice skin pill. After consumption, you can maintain your appearance for 10 years. Yizhou thought to himself, girls should like this, right? He glanced at Tanghua and found that her clothes were ordinary and dull. Cousin was only 16 years old. She should wear brightly colored clothes to look like a little girl. He flipped through the bag again and saw something. He finally smiled. Tanghua only saw a flash in front of her eyes. There was an additional item on the table. It looked purple and very light. There was a faint glow on it. Especially in the brighter parts, it was even more obvious that this item was not ordinary. Purple silkworm ice silk feather garment. It looks good. You'll look like a fairy when wearing it. The color is bright. It's warm in the winter and cool in the summer. It can also be used as a defensive artifact. It's very suitable for cousin. Tanghua touched it. Indeed, there was a very comfortable feeling, as if she was in water. Cousin, why did you think of giving me something? Tanghua looked up. Her eyes flashed with a strange light. Could it be that you're regretting the cancellation of the engagement? No, I'm not. Yizhou was afraid that she would misunderstand and hurriedly said. Tanghua smiled. Cousin, you don't have to be nervous. Even if you regret it, I won't take back my decision. The engagement has been cancelled. The entire Immortal Peace Country knows about it. How can I go back on my words and slap my own face? Yizhou was extremely embarrassed. Hee. Cousin, are you angry with me? Yizhou asked cautiously. Tanghua shook her head. No, why would I be angry with you? Yizhou's heart froze as an indescribable emotion welled up within him. He didn't dare to look into her eyes, afraid that he would see emotions that he couldn't respond to in her eyes. In fact, he only needed to raise his head to find that Tanghua's eyes were deep and unfathomable. There was no love at all. It's good that you're not angry. I won't travel around in the future. If you get bullied, remember to look for me. I'll help you vent your anger. As long as I, Yizhou, am here, I won't let anyone bully you. Tanghua rested her chin on her hand, and the corners of her mouth curved slightly. Really? She asked in a pleasant voice. Yizhou raised his head and looked into her eyes. He nodded vigorously. Really? I can always treat you as my little sister. I can protect you and love you. The two of them were no longer engaged. Yizhou didn't have to avoid her anymore. He also thought so in his heart. After all these years, he still owed her. I'll remember cousin's words today. Tanghua smiled as she kept everything. I really like cousin's gift. Thank you. Yizhou was very happy. When he heard Tanghua say thank you, he felt a little embarrassed. Cousin, you don't have to thank me. It's what I should do. He couldn't help but glance at Tanghua. His cousin's appearance was exquisite, faintly revealing a bit of flamboyant beauty, but her eyes were somewhat cold. He wondered what kind of style she would look like in that purple ice silk feather dress. Chapter 153. She canceled the engagement with Yizhou? The one who spoke was Tang Huan. She frowned when she recalled the encounter 3 months ago. Then, she felt her cultivation level and laughed again. Although she almost lost her life in the mouth of a monster beast, it was a blessing in disguise. Not only did she use the vitality flower to wash her meridians and improve her cultivation talent, but her cultivation level also advanced several times in a row. Now, she was already at the early stage of the Yuan general realm. Her mood was much better. In this life, she, Tang Huan, wanted to stand at the top of everyone. She would definitely not be bullied and depressed like in her previous life. She would only be able to look up to Tanghua. Does mother know why she canceled the engagement with Yizhou? Tang Huan didn't have any special doubts about this matter. Ever since she returned to her childhood and changed her mother's and her own fate, all the trajectories in this world were different from her previous life. Thinking of her previous life, before she died, she also heard that Tanghua had reached the peak of the Yuan Emperor realm in pursuit of Yizhou. It was a realm that she looked up to and was also in despair. In this life, she snatched Tanghua's opportunity. She didn't know if she still had a chance to reach the Yuan Emperor realm. Thinking of this, her eyes flashed. In a while, the divine beast egg would appear. She remembered that in her previous life, everyone thought that this was a dead egg. No one wanted it, but Tanghua picked it up and brought it back. In just a few years, it was actually hatched. It was a divine beast with very powerful combat power. She had to snatch this divine beast egg. She didn't want to go through the days of humbling herself and being looked down upon by others. She would climb up step by step so that everyone could only look up to her. She also wanted Tanghua to look up to her and experience her feelings back then. I don't know about that. Aunt Lu curled her lips. That little prince was impatient with her and couldn't stand her pestering. It's not surprising that the engagement was canceled. Tang Huan thought for a while. In this life, Tanghua's cultivation speed was not bad, but compared to her, she didn't have those opportunities. With Yizhou's personality, he only had cultivation in his eyes. He most likely didn't like Tanghua. It was indeed not surprising that the engagement was canceled. How is mother's body? Lu Yinyang's eyes flashed with warmth. Very good. Her face was like a peach blossom, and there was a bit of shyness in her eyes. Your father is also very good to me. Huaner, don't worry. Tang Huan nodded. Then I'm relieved. I've made mother worry for the past few months. It's my daughter's fault. Silly girl, what are you talking about? As long as you're well, mother will be happy. Tang Huan held Lu Yinyang's hand, her eyes firm. Mother, don't worry. Even if you're just a concubine of the family, with your daughter here, everyone can only look up to you in the future, including Bao Yunzi. Mother, just you wait. Huaner, don't push yourself too hard. That Bao Yunzi is arrogant and your father doesn't like her. Now that Tanghua has failed to live up to expectations and has annoyed your father, there's nothing to worry about. Lu Yinyang chuckled. Bao Yunzi is also angry with her own daughter. I'm afraid her brain isn't working well. She doesn't care about her own daughter. If it were me, how could I bear to do that? She's my own daughter. I have to dote on her. Tang Huan's heart felt warm. In her previous life, her mother had died early, but she still remembered how much her mother loved her. So in this life, she paid a lot of attention to Lu Yinyang's health. At this time, a servant came in to report, interrupting the mother and daughter's conversation. Lu Yinyang, eldest miss, the seventh prince is here. The patriarch invites you over. Chapter 154. The reborn concubine's daughter, second miss, there are guests at home. The patriarch invites you over. At this time, Tanghua and Yizhou were drinking tea and playing chess. Ever since the cancellation of the engagement, Yizhou secretly came to Tanghua every day. The gifts he brought were also different, as if he wanted to make up for the 10 years of guilt. When someone gave her gifts, Tanghua naturally wouldn't refuse. Besides, she had other motives. System. Host. What is your motive? Tanghua's pink lips lifted, revealing a beautiful smile, like a blooming begonia. Of course it's to make Yizhou fall in love with me. I've chased after him for more than 10 years. How can I just cancel the engagement and forgive him after giving him a few gifts? How can there be such an easy thing? The system was in disbelief. So, you want to continue the original body's feelings and have a relationship with him? You're really stupid. I don't want to hear your stupid explanation. System. He's stupid. He's stupid. He's the most stupid person in the world. Host. I'll also level up. One day, I'll be able to help you. I've long stopped looking forward to it. You're not useless. When I'm bored, I can chat with you to relieve the boredom in my heart. System. You're wronged. According to the host's personality, he felt that Yizhou's future days wouldn't be good. He looked at Yizhou pitifully and silently lit a candle. I came today because I was worried about Huan. Knowing that her injuries have healed, I'm relieved. The seventh prince, who was also known as Yin, said. His eyes were fixed on Tang Huan. Everyone present could see the deep affection that flashed through his eyes. Tang Haohui was in a good mood. He was very depressed that his daughter and Yizhou had canceled the engagement. But when he saw the seventh prince's affection for Tang Huan, he was happy again. As expected, Huan was his good daughter. Although Yizhou was good, he only cared about cultivation and had a rebellious personality. In other words, he was a wild child. How could he be better than the seventh prince in front of him? The few of them exchanged greetings. The guests were happy. Tanghua and Yizhou arrived late. Tang Haohui was about to scold them when he suddenly saw Yizhou beside her. He quickly shut his mouth. He was surprised. Why were the two of them so much better than before? Ever since Tanghua came in, the hall fell silent. Yin only glanced at Tanghua once before looking away. The disgust in his eyes was not concealed at all. When he saw Yizhou, he stood up and bowed politely. Little imperial uncle. Yin was the happiest person to hear that Tanghua and Yizhou had canceled the engagement. He did not want to call Tanghua imperial aunt. He had always hated this arrogant and despotic young lady. The problems of aristocratic families were fully displayed on her. She had abandoned the good points. Yizhou faintly grunted. He then addressed Tang Haohui as the head of the family Tang. He found a seat and asked Tanghua to sit down first. He then sat next to her. This action made everyone present look at each other. I was playing chess with my cousin just now. The head of the family Tang is urgently looking for someone. What's the matter? The hidden meaning of his words was, Old man, you're disturbing me. Tang Haohui's face twitched. He did not care about the cancellation of the engagement at all. It was good that such a bastard thing was cancelled. The scene was a bit awkward. Tang Huan stood up. Her smile was like a spring breeze that melted the ice in the hall. I was worried about the safety of my second sister. Seeing that my second sister is fine, I'm relieved. If it was in the past, the original body would definitely say a few harsh words to make Tang Huan lose face. This was Tang Haohui's idea. However, Tanghua was not the original body. Even if she said harsh words, she had to say something that would make her comfortable. When I came back, I found out that my eldest sister was seriously injured and unconscious. No wonder no one came to find me in the past 3 months. Chapter 154. Second Miss, there are guests at home. The patriarch invites you over. At that moment, Tanghua and Yizhou were drinking tea and playing chess. Ever since the engagement was annulled, Yizhou would secretly visit Tanghua every single time. The gifts he brought with him were different as well. It was as if he wanted to make up for the guilt he felt over the past decade. Of course, Tanghua would not refuse if someone gave her something. Besides, she had other purposes. System host, what is your purpose? The corners of Tangua's pink lips lifted, revealing a beautiful smile, like a blooming begonia. Of course, let Yizhou have sex with me. After chasing him for more than 10 years, I said to cancel the engagement and forgive him by giving him a few things. How can there be such a cheap thing? The system is incredible. So you want to continue the original feeling and have a relationship with him? It's really stupid. I don't want to explain it to a retard like you. System, he's retarded. He's stupid. He's the most retarded and stupid in the world. Host, I will also level up, and one day I will be able to help you. I'm not looking forward to it. You're not useless. When you're bored, you can chat and relieve the boredom in your heart. The system felt wronged. According to the host's son, he always felt that Yizhou's son would not have a good time in the future. He looked at Yizhou pitifully and lit a candle in silence. I came here today because I was worried about Huaner. I'm relieved to know that her injuries have healed. The seventh prince, who was also Yi Yin, said. However, his eyes were fixed on Tang Huan. Everyone present could clearly see the depth that flashed through his eyes. Tang Haohui's heart was very good. He was very depressed that his daughter and Yi Zhou had broken off the engagement. But seeing that the current seventh prince was happy with Tang Huan, he was happy again. Sure enough, Huaner was his good daughter. Although Yi Zhou was good, he only focused on cultivation and was unruly. In other words, he was a wild child. How could he be better than the seventh prince in front of him? They exchanged greetings, and the guests were happy. Tanghua and Yi Zhou arrived late. Tang Haohui was about to scold her when he suddenly saw Yi Zhou beside her and quickly shut up. He was astonished. Why were the two of them so much better than before? Ever since Tanghua came in, the hall was quiet. Yi Yin only glanced at Tanghua once and then looked away. He did not hide the disgust in his eyes at all. When he saw Yi Zhou, he stood up and bowed politely. Little imperial uncle. Speaking of Tanghua and Yi Zhou breaking off the engagement, Yi Yin was the happiest. He did not want to call Tanghua imperial aunt. He had always loathed this arrogant and despotic young miss. The flaws of aristocratic families were fully displayed on her, while the good points were ignored by her. Yi Zhou nodded faintly, then addressed Tang Haohui as the head of the Tang family. He found a seat and invited Tanghua to sit down first, then he sat down next to her. This action caused everyone present to look at each other. Just now, I was playing chess with my cousin. The head of the Tang family was anxiously looking for someone. What's the matter? The hidden meaning of these words was, "Old man, you're disturbing me." Tang Haohui's cheeks twitched. He did not care about breaking off the engagement at all. It was good that such a bastard thing was broken off. The scene was a bit awkward. Tang Huan stood up. Her gentle smile melted the ice in the hall. I was worried about second sister's safety before. Seeing that second sister is fine, I am relieved. If it was in the past, Tang Huan would have said a few harsh words to embarrass Tang Huan. This was Tang Huan's idea. However, Tanghua was not Tang Huan. Even if she said harsh words, she would say something that made her feel comfortable. I only found out that eldest sister was seriously injured and unconscious when I came back. No wonder no one came to find me in the past 3 months. Chapter 155. Big sister, don't take it to heart. I won't blame you. Tanghua lowered her head with a faint smile and raised her eyebrows. However, there's something I want to ask big sister. Second sister, please go ahead. Tang Huan felt a little uncomfortable. She secretly guessed that the other party had encountered some fortuitous encounter in the past 3 months. She clenched her fists. Thinking of her cultivation, she heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what fortuitous encounter the other party encountered, it was impossible for the other party to surpass her. It's not a big deal. Back then, when Big Sister plucked the vitality flower, she attracted demonic beasts to chase after her. When I was running away, I fell. I was a Yuan Qi scholar at that time, so I couldn't have fallen by myself. I remember that someone tripped me and my ankle was swollen. Yi Zhou's expression changed drastically when he heard that. Tang Huan's expression was calm, but her eyes flickered. Second sister, are you sure you're not mistaken? Big sister's words are interesting. Tanghua chuckled. My ankle is swollen. Why would I lie? Tang Huan pursed her lips. Perhaps someone was careless while running. Speaking of this, she felt a little wronged. Second sister, are you suspecting me by asking this question today? As soon as she said this, everyone present, except for Yi Zhou, glared at Tanghua as if she had done something disgraceful. Big sister, you can't speak carelessly. I'm not talking about you. If I found out it was Big Sister, I would have attacked directly. No matter what, I would have fought with you. You know that I'm impatient and can't stand being wronged. I would have taken revenge on the person who tricked me. At the very least, I would have slapped her twice, whipped her twice, and broken one of her legs. Tang Huan's eyelids twitched. She heaved a sigh of relief. This was Tang Huan's character. I'm just here to ask. Big sister, do you know who tripped me? If I wasn't vigilant, I might have died in the mouth of the demon beasts. Yi Zhou's heart tightened. He thought that if it wasn't for his cousin's luck, he wouldn't have seen such a lively little girl today. He also hated the person who tripped Tanghua. If he knew, he would have broken that person's leg even without Tanghua's help. Big sister, did you see who it was? Tang Huan's expression was calm as he shook his head. I've disappointed second sister. I didn't see it. Oh, that's a pity. By the way, big sister, where is the vitality flower? Since we are facing danger together, shouldn't we get a share of it? Tang Huan clenched her fists. She had already used the vitality flower. How could she take it out? Huan was seriously injured at that time. It was the vitality flower that saved her life. Why are you so calculative? Tang Haohui was displeased. Yi Yan spoke at the right time. Second miss, if you don't mind, I can compensate you for the rest of the things. Tanghua smiled but didn't say anything. Yizhou couldn't take it anymore. He snorted arrogantly and said, Gui is this prince's cousin. What can't she get? Little Seven, do you think cousin would be interested in the things in your hands? This prince has traveled all over the continent and collected all kinds of rare treasures. However much cousin wants, this prince will give her. Her eyelids aren't that shallow. I'm just asking, do you really think she wants the vitality flower? After saying that, Yizhou directly took out a jade box and opened it for everyone to see. His eyebrows danced. Cold frost, immortal Ganoderma. It's even more precious than the vitality flower. Cousin, it's yours. Yizhou closed the jade box and handed it to Tanghua. His handsome face had a smile. That protective look made Tanghua smile. It made him even more proud. Cousin, don't be afraid. Cousin will protect you, he said softly. For some reason, everyone's faces hurt. Chapter 156. The hall was silent. Tanghua took the jade box, pursed her lips, and smiled. Okay. Yizhou saw her beautiful smile and was stunned. His cousin was as beautiful as she was when she was young. Thinking of the nonsense he said in the past, he quickly turned his head away. He did not dare to make those jokes again, afraid that she would misunderstand. Seeing that everyone seemed to be shocked by his wealth, he could not help but show off and raise his eyebrows. In a few days, there will be a medicine refinery exchange in Ping City. Huan, do you want to participate? The first prize of the medicine refinery conference is a top-grade pill furnace. Yi Yan's words finally resolved the awkwardness. Tang Huan's eyes lit up when she heard this. She remembered that this pill furnace was obtained by Tang Huan in her previous life. Everyone thought that it was just a top-grade pill furnace, but they did not know that it was passed down from ancient times and was a divine weapon. It could be said that in her previous life, Tanghua was famous for her alchemy, and this pill furnace was very useful. She had the medicine refinery space, so what kind of pills could she not have? However, in her previous life, Tanghua had left too much of a shadow in her heart. She also wanted to be like Tanghua in her previous life, easily controlling the alchemy furnace in front of the world and refining pills that would make people envious. It was just that her talent in alchemy was not good. Fortunately, she had the help of the medicine refinery space. When the time came, it would be easy for her to win the competition. This divine weapon pill furnace was also Tanghua's opportunity. She was determined to get it. Good things belong to the capable, right? Of course I want to participate. I also want to exchange my alchemy experience with other alchemists. It's easy to make mistakes behind closed doors. Hearing this, everyone present, except for Yizhou and Tanghua, nodded in agreement. What about second sister? Are you going? You have always been very talented in alchemy. You won't miss such an occasion, right? Tang Huan's eyes emitted a strong fighting spirit. To defeat the enemy, one had to strike at the opponent's strong points. If it was in the past, the original body would definitely say something ruthless and tell her not to be complacent and to meet at the medicine refinery conference. At this moment, Tanghua looked up and said, Of course I'm going. I'm very interested in this alchemy convention. It just so happens that I'm lacking an alchemy furnace. If the quality is good, I can bring it back and use it. What arrogant words. Tang Huan felt uncomfortable in his heart. He spoke as if this pill furnace belonged to the other party. She snickered inwardly. If she was too arrogant, her face would only hurt. Second sister's talent in alchemy has always been very good, so it's not strange for her to come out on top. Big sister, you're wrong. You should know that there's always someone better than you. Having good talent doesn't mean that you'll be able to get first place. At this point, Tangwa changed the topic. However, the first place in this year's Grand Medicine Refinery Convention should be mine. Tang Huan was speechless. Even Tang Haohui could not bear to watch. How could he have such a daughter who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth? In Yi Yan's heart, he was even more certain that she was an idiot. How could he be so arrogant? To think that Huan had given the other party face, he really took advantage of her. Cousin, I believe in you. You'll definitely get first place. Yi Zhou's sudden words caused a gust of wind to blow in the hall. Tangwa's eyes revealed a smile. She met Yi Zhou's gaze and nodded. Yi Zhou knew that he had done the right thing and was even happier in his heart. Cousin will always support you. Yi Zhou's eyes flashed like starlight, extremely dazzling. Cousin is the most outstanding. That alchemy furnace is barely worthy of you. Tang Huan's mouth twitched. What kind of person was this? Wasn't he afraid that his face would hurt? Cousin has good taste. Everyone. Chapter 157. Tomorrow was the alchemy convention. For the next 2 days, Tangwa didn't go anywhere. She bought a bunch of elixirs and prepared to practice. Although her mother and father didn't like her, her identity as the daughter of the Tang family was a fact. In the eyes of others, her cultivation talent was only slightly worse than Tang Huan's. The resources allocated to her by the Tang family weren't as good as Tang Huan's, but they weren't too harsh. As a large family, they paid attention to the stable development of their members for a long time. Even if one of them was particularly outstanding, they wouldn't allocate all the resources to them. Moreover, with her identity as the daughter of the Tang family, she was young and had good talent. If she was neglected, it would be a joke. Another reason was that Tang Huan was especially arrogant after his rebirth. He held the opportunity that once belonged to Tangwa in his heart and used his own ability to make friends with various people. With Tang Haohui's love and Yi Yan's protection, he didn't have a good attitude towards the Tang family. Tangwa could understand Tang Huan's mentality. It was nothing more than a grudge against the Tang family members who didn't like her in her previous life. Tang Huan's goal was to make the world look up to her and trample on everyone, making those who looked down on her regret. These people included the Tang family. Therefore, it was impossible for her to get along peacefully with the Tang family members. Thinking of this, Tangwa smiled. Wouldn't it be stupid not to have a good relationship with her own family members? Even if Tang Haohui was the patriarch, he wouldn't dare to go against the Tang family. If the Tang family members were dissatisfied, Tang Haohui's position as the patriarch might be forcefully removed. There was a good quality alchemy furnace in her original storage bag, but it could only be considered a mid-grade alchemy furnace. Tangwa didn't pay attention to it and began to refine according to the formula in her memory. Perhaps because this body already had a foundation, refining medicine was very easy. After half an hour, she finished refining a furnace of pills. Each pill was crystal clear and round. It was obvious that the quality was very good. Fortunately, I'm not unfamiliar with it. Tangwa looked at the pills and smiled. It's not in vain that I spent so much effort to learn those things. She had transmigrated to the Xuanhuan world and the cultivation world. If she wanted to trace back, she didn't know how long it had been. Host, if you say that, you'll be beaten to death. In the field of alchemy, 5 out of 10 refinements fail. You're 100 out of 10 refinements. So please be humble. It was rare for the system to crack a joke. It could feel that its host was in a good mood. Fortunately, I'm outstanding enough. Tangwa's eyes flashed. She was really looking forward to tomorrow. She wondered what kind of scene would happen after Tang Huan, who was borrowing the medicine refining space, lost to her in the medicine refining conference tomorrow. She had never thought of hiding her strength. She wanted to show off her arrogance the moment she appeared, laying the foundation for her to walk sideways in this world. Host, why am I so excited? God knows why you're so agitated. Cousin, I heard that you bought a lot of spiritual herbs back. Are you preparing for tomorrow's alchemy convention? Tangwa was already used to Yi Zhou's daily reports. She heard his voice before he even arrived. She looked up and saw a handsome man in a red robe stepping into the courtyard and walking towards her. Yi Zhou had a smile on his face. He came to Tangua's side and handed her a storage pouch. There are a lot of spiritual herbs here. There are a few high-grade ones that you should be able to use in the future. The rest are good for practicing. No need to thank me. Without waiting for Tangua to speak, Yizhou spoke again. Then he looked at her with sparkling eyes, very much like a large dog. Chapter 158. Tangua suppressed the urge to pat his head and took the storage bag. She looked inside. Not high grade. Practice? If she took it out, Yizhou would probably be beaten up. If she took out the spiritual herbs in the storage bag and sold them out, they would be sold out in minutes. In Yizhou's eyes, they might not be high grade, but if she used them for practice, it would be very extravagant. But who was Tangua? She had transmigrated to so many worlds and had all kinds of identities. What kind of good things had she not seen? She silently took it and began to practice. Yizhou revealed a big smile and sat at the side to watch. He did not feel that there was anything wrong with using these high-grade spiritual herbs to practice. It was fine as long as his cousin took a fancy to some ordinary things. At this time, he did not notice at all why he was in front of Tangua every day and was even willing to plunder his own things for her. Was this really just a cousin's love and protection for his cousin? He only felt that giving Tangua good things would make his mood very good. He did not know if this was a kind of illness. If he did not give his cousin something for a day, he would feel uncomfortable all over. Yizhou touched his nose and looked seriously at Tangua. Maybe it was because he recently understood that under his cousin's arrogant surface, there was such an obedient side, so he felt guilty, right? He just wanted to make it up to his cousin. After thinking it through, Yizhou did not think about anything else. Others did not love his cousin, but he did. Others did not like his cousin, but he liked her. Others did not love his cousin, but he loved her. Everyone hated his cousin, but it was fine as long as he liked her. His cousin, she was the best cousin in the world. She was good-looking, had a good personality, was talented, spoke well, and had a beautiful smile. Host, is this cousin of yours a fool? Look at how silly he is smiling. Tangua threw the spiritual herbs into the furnace and inadvertently turned her head. As expected, she saw Yizhou smiling foolishly. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly. Maybe. After another half an hour, Yizhou reckoned that it was time for the pill to come out. He looked even more nervous than Tangua. It should be said that Tangua was not nervous at all, but he was. It's normal if you don't succeed in the first try. Cousin, you can practice in peace. There's no need to. Without saying a word, Tangua opened the pill furnace. Her jade-like hands quickly swept the pill furnace and the finished product into a jade bottle. Yizhou swallowed the words that he wanted to say. Instead, he revealed a look that said, "My cousin is amazing." After a while, he said, "I knew cousin's sister had talent in refining medicine, but I didn't expect her to be so good. She actually succeeded in one furnace." The look in his eyes almost made him want to hug Tangua's thigh and say, "Cousin, why are you so amazing? I admire you so much." "Before you came, I made another batch," Tangua added. "It was a success." Yizhou. Tangua handed the 2 jade bottles to Yizhou. "Here, cousin, I'll give you the finished products from these 2 furnaces. The grade is not high, but it's still not bad to treat as jelly beans." Yizhou took the 2 jade bottles with a complicated expression. When he opened them, he was slightly shocked. Every pill was plump, round, and sparkling. This kind of technique was already beyond the reach of many medicine refiners. He wanted to take back what he said about his cousin's talent. His cousin was a genius. "Cousin, the first place of the medicine refinery convention tomorrow will only be yours. If it's not you, there must be something fishy going on." He kept the jade bottles and looked serious. "I will help you supervise those old men. If they dare to cheat or be biased, I will break their legs." Originally, he wanted to say that he would tear their mouths apart. Thinking about how a man like him would do something like that, it wouldn't sound good if word got out. Chapter 159. Since yesterday, Tangua had been practicing for an entire afternoon. Yizhou went from being amazed to being used to it. His eyes were shining when he looked at Tangua. He even said, "Cousin, It's a waste of your talent to be confined to the Tang residence. This kind of talent should be nurtured with a lot of money. Thinking about the family Tang's situation, he couldn't help but feel wronged for Tanghua. In the end, he even said, "If you need anything in the future, you can ask for it from your cousin. What the family Tang has, he has. What the family Tang doesn't have, he also has." Tanghua replied with a smile, "Okay." Until today, Yizhou was still thinking about that smile when he came to the alchemist convention. Actually, his cousin was quite good. There were 3 rounds in the alchemist convention, which were divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Using the elimination system, every participant could receive a corresponding pill refining spirit medicine in each round. The beginner and intermediate rounds were to eliminate participants who failed to refine pills. As long as there was a batch of pills, they would pass. Don't look at the relaxed conditions. Previously, it was said that 5 out of 10 refinements would fail. This was referring to the normal situation. When refining pills, it was inevitable that various situations would occur. For example, being watched by so many people, if one's state of mind was not good, one's hands would tremble, and one might fail miserably. Some alchemists' success rate was not even 50%. It might only be 20% or 30%. Even if there were 3 sets of spirit medicine in the beginner round, it was still very harsh for them. If the first batch failed, it would definitely affect one's state of mind, and the next 2 attempts might fail. Refining pills not only tested one's skills, but also one's state of mind. In the second round, there would be 2 sets of spirit medicine. As for the last round, the alchemist convention would only provide 1 set of advanced spirit medicine. That's right, there was only 1 set. Not to mention how many alchemists could successfully refine it in one go. Even if they succeeded, it still depended on the quality. Not to mention, there was the possibility of a pill that one had not refined before. Although the alchemist convention would provide pill formulas, if one could refine pills just by looking at the pill formulas, then the alchemists in this world would not be so scarce. In front of Tanghua, there were 3 sets of spirit medicine of average quality. In the entire alchemist convention, there were no less than 100 participants. She glanced around and saw Tang Huan at a glance. Tang Huan was in the middle of a group of alchemists dressed in gray. Her pure and beautiful white clothes were very eye-catching. Tang Huan also saw her, smiled at her, and then buried his head in refining pills. That smile was definitely not a friendly one. Tanghua snorted. She didn't know if Tang Huan had heard her, but she raised her head again. Tanghua raised her chin, looking extremely proud. Tang Huan let out a low chuckle. Perhaps he was laughing at Tanghua for not knowing the immensity of heaven and earth. "Come on, cousin. You're the best." A voice suddenly came from below the stage, attracting everyone's attention. When such a voice suddenly appeared in the originally quiet alchemist convention, everyone was very curious. They all looked over, but after seeing that the person who spoke was actually the little prince, they didn't dare to say anything. Didn't the 2 of them break off their engagement? They were very confused about this matter. At first, everyone was saying that the little prince did not want Tanghua anymore. Later, less than a day later, the entire Ping City was saying that it was actually Tanghua who did not want the little prince anymore. Looking at the little prince's eager and excited expression, they had some guesses. Could it be that Tanghua really did not want the little prince anymore? "I know." Before everyone could react, they heard Tanghua's reply. Thinking about her words, they had a strange expression. The eldest daughter of the family Tang family was really thick-skinned. The little prince said that she was the best, but was she really the best? Chapter 160. Tang Huan did not place the first round in her eyes at all. With the help of the medicine refining space, she could easily refine a batch of pills. Although she had personally refined it, it was not like the medicine refining space, which had reached the state of a top-quality pill. However, it was more than enough to deal with the alchemists here. From the very beginning, she did not plan to hide her abilities and decided to refine all 3 sets of spirit medicines. Normally, a cauldron of finished pills could produce a maximum of 9 pills. Actually, in the legends, there were even 10 pills in a furnace. However, this was a legend after all, and even the medicine refining space could not achieve it. Tang Huan had already finished refining the first batch of pills, and the people observing from above also noticed that she was continuing to refine the second batch. They smiled and nodded at each other, as they had high hopes for Tang Huan from the very beginning. Actually, in their hearts, they all felt that the person who had won the first place this time was Tang Huan. "I'm done refining." The sudden appearance of the voice interrupted the thoughts of the judges of the alchemy competition. When they regained their senses, their gazes landed on Tanghua. A few of the judges of the alchemy competition stood up and walked in front of Tanghua. Beside Tanghua, there was also an attendant who was in charge of supervising the participants. His eyes were lifeless as he stood in place with a shocked expression. When he saw the judges coming over, his eyes regained some luster as he looked at Tanghua with a terrifying light in his eyes. "It's done." The judges were proud, because Tangua's reputation was not good outside, and coupled with her familiarity with Tanghua, even their impression of Tanghua was not good. They casually glanced around and realized that Tanghua had used all 3 batches of spirit medicines. They understood that she had most likely wasted 2 batches of spirit medicines. The young miss of the family Tang family was indeed incomparable to the young miss of the family Tang family. That young miss of the family Tang family, no matter what pill she refined, had never failed. "All right, please take a look." Tanghua pointed to the 3 jade bottles in front of her and smiled. "All 3 have succeeded." The judges were stunned, and the others who noticed the situation were also stunned. Hearing this, there was also Tang Huan. She could not control her hands from trembling, and the second batch of pills was wasted. The furnace emitted a burnt smell, attracting the attention of others. Tang Huan's face turned ugly. Pursing his lips, he cleaned the furnace and steadied his mind to continue with the next furnace. After the judges looked at each other, they each took a jade bottle and began to examine it. I opened it and was stunned. "Tin. Mine is also tin. It's really tin." 3 voices sounded in succession. The shock in their eyes could not be concealed. Then, they no longer cared about Tangua's reputation and stared at her excitedly. They were still very calm. They even asked the attendant at the side. The attendant said that Tanghua had no chance to cheat. Moreover, there were people around watching. Who would dare to cheat at this time? There were also medicinal pills that had just come out of the furnace. As long as it was an alchemist who had studied alchemy, they would be able to detect it. The 3 judges were very certain that Tanghua had successfully refined the legendary Great Perfection. It was a legend that she could refine 10 pills in one go. When Tang Huan heard this, he was also shocked. His originally calm mind was once again in chaos. Then, with a boom, the furnace exploded. Tang Huan's face turned green and white. He buried his head and stared at the pill furnace that had exploded into pieces in front of him. She clearly had the help of the alchemy space, but she actually failed. Even if she did not raise her head, she could feel the ridicule around her. She clenched her fists tightly. In fact, the people around her were just very surprised. How could her furnace explode? They did not ridicule her at all. Chapter 161. 10 Pills, the legendary Great Perfection. How was this possible? Was Tangua's talent really that good? In his previous life, it clearly wasn't this good. Could it be that in those 3 months, Tanghua had obtained some incredible opportunity? That was the only possibility. After Tang Huan stabilized his mind, he reported the pills he had refined. However, his complexion didn't look too good. The judges didn't even come over and directly let the attendant check it and register it. This kind of difference in treatment almost drove Tang Huan crazy. As expected, these people were all snobs, no different from his previous life. One day, she would trample all these people under her feet and make them look up to her and worship her. The 3 judges were shocked that such a genius had appeared among the alchemists. No matter how bad Tangua's reputation was in the past, they didn't care anymore. Compared to reputation, they cared more about the talents in this circle. This kind of talent, it was right to be on good terms with them. Refining a pill to the Great Perfection stage, do you have any insights? The judge couldn't help but ask. This question was very difficult to answer. After all, every alchemist had their own methods and generally wouldn't pass it on to others. Tanghua smiled. I think this is talent. The judge's mouth twitched. Hee, is that so? Do you mind if we observe from the side? The 3 judges politely asked. After all, this might affect Tangwa's refining, so she could refuse. Tangwa didn't refuse and said, "Of course you can. In a while, you will understand that this is talent." Everyone's mouth twitched fiercely. This Tang family's miss was really annoying. How arrogant. How infuriating. Regardless of what the onlookers thought, the three judges were very happy. They all moved their small stools over and sat around Tangwa. Tang Huan saw this scene and felt that it was very dazzling. It reminded him of his previous life. When Yizhou saw the three judges sitting around his cousin, he couldn't help but jump up and get someone to move a small stool to sit next to them. The three judges, yesterday, I personally saw Cousin Mei concoct pills for an entire afternoon. Every batch was a guaranteed success, and each batch produced 10 great perfection pills. Yizhou had a proud look on his face as he smiled. His red robes made him look even more handsome. Your technique is no different from the others. You're really talented. The three judges. In the second round, there were less than 30 people left. The frightening elimination rate made people even more fearful of the alchemist profession. They had seen countless pharmacists fail and even have their furnaces explode. Then, they looked at Tangwa, who had easily completed 3 furnaces, and their gazes changed. Perhaps it was really a talent? Let's begin the second round. 2 elixirs appeared in front of Tangwa. That's right, there were only 2 elixirs in the second round, which meant that all the alchemists only had 2 chances. This time, Tang Huan decided not to look at Tangwa's situation. He got rid of all distracting thoughts and started to concoct pills. On the other side, Tangwa was surrounded by 4 people. She had an indifferent look on her face as she threw elixirs into the furnace. She looked like she didn't care at all, but the judges couldn't help but feel anxious for her. Be more serious. Don't be so perfunctory. If you fail and the furnace explodes, there won't be a great perfection pill. It was a typical case of the emperor not being anxious, but the eunuchs being anxious. Tangwa was still as calm as ever and didn't notice the anxious state of the others. An hour later, she lightly patted the furnace and habitually placed the elixirs into a jade bottle. The 3 judges, that's it. Chapter 162. Tangwa casually threw the jade bottle onto the table. The 3 judges hurriedly and carefully picked it up and opened it to take a look. 10 pills. There was no difference in the technique. So this was talent? At this time, Tangwa was already in the middle of her second batch of pills. Moreover, Tang Huan did not pay attention to the outside world and only focused on refining the pills in her hands. After careful consideration, she managed to refine 9 top-quality pills. This result made her smile. With her talent, the fact that she was able to refine 9 top-grade pills with the help of the medicine refining space had already exceeded her expectations. Because she was afraid that the situation on Tangwa's side would affect her, she deliberately did not observe her side. After putting the second batch of pills into the furnace, she could not help but look at Tangwa's side. It was too late for regrets. He saw that the person in the distance was so indifferent. His eyebrows were raised, the corners of his mouth were slightly raised, and his eyes revealed a proud smile. His movements were smooth, and in one breath, he placed the white jade-like pills into the jade bottle. One of the judges was still holding the jade bottle in his hand as he stared blankly at Tangwa's smooth and flowing movements. The other 2 judges also did not blink, afraid that they would miss a single action. When the jade bottle landed on the table, the 3 judges scrambled to snatch it. Seeing that there were still 10 sparkling and translucent pills of the highest quality, their lips and teeth trembled, but in the end, they didn't say anything. It was just that the way they looked at Tangwa was already enough to kneel down in admiration. Tang Huan steadied her mind and did not want to look anymore. But at this time, one of the judges praised, "Second Miss Tang's talent in refining pills. I'm afraid that no one can surpass it." That's right. Using the same technique, but in a shorter time than the others, he actually managed to refine 2 sets of absolute grade great perfection pills. The 3 judges were not stingy with their praise for Tangwa. If it were not for their status, they might have already knelt down before Tangwa. Tang Huan was stunned. She had even forgotten that she was still refining pills. Her mind was buzzing, and she could no longer hear the sounds from the outside world. In her mind, she could only hear one sentence. Both of the elixirs were successful, and both of them were top-grade perfection stage elixirs. He couldn't accept it. Tang Huan suddenly felt that something was amiss. She only heard a loud explosion. This time, she did not have the time to use her elemental energy to protect herself. The pill furnace exploded in her face without any warning. Originally, her white dress was as ethereal as it fluttered in the wind, but now, she was in such a sorry state. Her fair and beautiful face was covered with ashes from the furnace, and her face was also covered in ash. With such a big commotion, the three judges couldn't help but be attracted, not to mention the people on the stage who had been paying attention. All the curious gazes were cast over. Tang Huan was angry and humiliated. She hated that these people only liked to see her in her glory. When she was in a sorry state, they did not hesitate to mock her and mock her. "Miss Tang, are you all right?" They valued Tang Huan quite a lot. Although he was not as talented as Tang Gua, he was still a good seedling. However, Tang Huan did not appreciate it. At this moment, no matter what anyone said, she only felt naked sarcasm. She pursed her lips and used a great deal of self-control to make her expression look normal. In reality, her face was covered in ash, and she did not have the celestial aura from before. No one could see what her expression was. "It's nothing. My condition today is not very good." Tang Huan obviously would not admit that her skills were not good enough. "I've made a fool of myself." Chapter 163. Hearing Tang Huan's apology, everyone smiled kindly and comforted each other with a few words. In fact, to them, it was normal for a furnace to explode and fail in refining pills. They had always felt that Tang Huan was a talented and hardworking person. But these comforting words were harsh and unpleasant to Tang Huan's ears. She felt that these people's smiles were mocking her. Her image in everyone's eyes had always been perfect. How many years had it taken her to leave such an impression on everyone? But today, everything was ruined. The person who ruined everything was the person she was most jealous of, Tang Gua. Even if she was reborn, Tang Huan's heart was still jealous, inferior, and sensitive. It could be said that if she did not completely trample Tang Gua under her feet, she would not be able to get rid of this heart demon. Didn't Big Sister successfully refine a furnace? You don't have to be afraid of being eliminated. Tang Huan's expression, which had been stabilized with great difficulty, was broken again because of Tang Gua's words. Under her calm eyes, there was a monstrous hatred that rose to the heavens. At this moment, her sense of superiority was trampled on by Tang Gua. The other party's faint mockery made her so angry that her heart felt stuffy. Her nails dug deep into her palm. Tang Gua did not seem to know that she was angry. A smile appeared on her face, and the arrogance between her eyebrows disappeared. She looked like a good sister who cared about her sister. "There's still the last round. Big Sister, you have to work hard." "Host, you have the potential to be a great villain." Tang Gua casually replied. "Am I not a villain now? Weren't those who went against and obstructed the reborn heaven's chosen woman all villains? Tang Huan is the heaven's chosen woman, the main character of this world. If I'm the villain, I guess that the development of this world's drama should be a tragedy for the main character." System host, your imagination is very rich. Why did he feel that the host was right? So, the final winner of this world should be the great villain. The third round began. This time, there were 9 people left on the stage. The remaining people, except for Tang Huan, were all staring at Tang Gua as if they were observing a monster. They looked at each other with a bitter smile on their faces. "I want to abstain." "How?" "I want to as well." "Is there something wrong with this alchemist convention? Why did we have to encounter such a freak?" The 3 judges had stern expressions on their faces, indicating that abstention was not allowed in the alchemy conference. The contestants had no choice but to brace themselves and go down. "Everyone, don't be discouraged. There's only one elixir in the last round, so anything can happen. Everyone has a chance." At this time, Tang Huan, who had calmed down and changed his clothes, stepped onto the stage. After being comforted by Tang Huan, the participants relaxed a lot. When Tang Huan saw the grateful expressions in their eyes, he felt a lot better. No matter what, this was not the time to panic. She fixed her gaze on Tanghua, and the smile on her face was incomparably gentle, like a caring sister. Second sister, it's the last round. Be careful. Everyone praised her one after another. The eldest daughter of the family Tang group was indeed a gentle person. In comparison, although the second miss of the family Tang group was talented, she could not compare to Tang Huan. Big sister 2. Don't blow up the furnace in the third round. There's only one elixir. If the furnace blows up, there's almost nothing left. Tang Huan's heart sank. He lowered his eyes and hid all his thoughts. No, I will be very careful this time. The lesson from before is enough. She did not believe that Tanghua could still refine a perfect elixir in the last round. Chapter 164. The third round was different from the first 2 rounds. The 9 participants would randomly draw the pills they wanted to refine. If one was lucky, one might draw a simple pill. If one was unlucky, not only would it be difficult to refine, it might even be something that had never been refined before. Tang Huan was not worried at all. She had the medicine refining space. No matter what pill name she drew, with the help of the medicine refining space, she could instantly use all sorts of refining methods. The previous first and second rounds were all fixed questions, and the pills they refined were also common and simple. The real contest was actually in the third round. Even the simplest pills were high-level spirit pills. It could be said that in today's alchemy conference, the pill that was successfully refined in the end, regardless of whether the number of pills in a furnace was 1 or 9, would still be able to enjoy the title of a high-level alchemist and be sought after by everyone. Not to mention the person who was able to get first place. That was someone that all the powers wanted to rope in. Tang Huan's first goal was to snatch away Tanghua's opportunity and obtain the pill furnace that was actually a divine artifact. His second goal was to become famous and let everyone know that there was an extremely young genius alchemist in the immortal Ping country. She could not fail in this round. She would no longer be curious to see Tanghua's situation and be affected by the other party. Previously, he was just unprepared. The Tang Huan who had calmed down was indeed a very calm person. Tanghua also noticed that Tang Huan's performance was very steady and calm. Host, he is a reborn person after all. He is not that cowardly. Tanghua laughed. It's a pity that she met me. The 3 judges took out 10 jade tablets that had been set up to isolate their spiritual sense. They flipped the jade tablets over and saw the name of the spirit pill and the pill formula. According to the results of the second round, Tanghua was the first to flip the card. She casually picked up the nearest jade tablet and erased the isolation mechanism. The name of the spirit pill was displayed. The soul-nurturing pill was mainly used to repair the damaged soul. The difficulty level of refining it was high. When the 3 judges heard the report, they were stunned for a moment. They looked at each other in confusion. How can there be a high difficulty level spirit pill? Isn't the highest difficulty level usually medium? Those who participated in the alchemy conference were all talented young people. The famous alchemists were all in charge of the major powers and would not lower themselves to participate in this conference. Tanghua did not find it difficult. Wasn't it just a soul-nurturing pill? To her, there was no difficulty. She scanned the people present and finally landed on one person. Her eyes flashed and a smile on her lips. So it was him, Yun Yan. With Yun Yan's status, it wouldn't be difficult for him to tamper with the jade token. At the same time, she felt another gaze. The jade token had already been drawn, so there was no point in saying anything. Yizhou was a little worried. Cousin, are you okay? When Yizhou, who was cursing, heard this, he immediately emitted a sparkling light and turned into fruit powder. Cousin, I knew you could do it. You will win for sure. Yizhou's last sentence was not soft at all. Everyone heard it. Originally, it was not a big deal. But when everyone heard that Tanghua had drawn the soul-nurturing pill, they fell silent. Not to mention a young alchemist, even an experienced alchemist could not guarantee that they could successfully refine the soul-nurturing pill with just one set of spirit medicine. Chapter 165. Everyone thought that Tanghua would fail this time, and so did the 3 judges, not to mention Tang Huan. These 3 judges were all high-level alchemists. They were very lucky to be able to refine a soul-nurturing pill out of 10 sets of spirit medicines. They all felt a little regretful. If they had drawn other spirit pills, Tanguo would have no problem getting first place. The other contestants also drew the spirit pills they wanted to refine. Some were low level, some were medium level, and none of them had a high level of difficulty. What Tang Huan drew was close to the high level of difficulty, the muscle regenerating pill, which could quickly replenish blood. For cultivators who had been fighting for a long time, this kind of spirit pill was extremely precious. The difficulty of refining it was not low, and the spirit medicines needed were not ordinary either. If one wanted to ask for one, they would have to find their own spirit medicines and ask an alchemist to refine them. They would also have to prepare a few more spirit medicines before they could succeed. Or they could go to the auction house and try their luck. Every single one of them could be auctioned off for a sky-high price. Everyone looked at Tang Huan with the same gaze. Although the muscle-regenerating pill was not of high difficulty, it was not easy to refine. He remembered that half a year ago, a mysterious person put the muscle-regenerating pill up for auction and sold it for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. It could be seen how precious the muscle-regenerating pill was. Tang Huan lowered his head and laughed. These people did not know that the mysterious person who took out the muscle-regenerating pill to auction was her. She could not help but glance at Tanguo. She could not see any expression on his face, so she stopped looking. Although Tanguo would definitely lose this round, she still did not dare to let her guard down. If the other party wanted to disturb her mind, then the gains would not make up for the losses. After everyone felt regretful, they saw that all the contestants were engrossed in refining pills and no longer discussed. The scene fell into silence. Most of the gazes were on Tanguo. They were all guessing when she would fail and when the furnace would explode. They really wanted to see nervousness and uneasiness on Tanguo's face, but she was still indifferent, no different from before when she was refining pills. That nonchalant look on his face made the three judges so anxious that their teeth hurt. Second Miss Tang, do you know that you are refining a soul-nurturing pill? Do you know what a soul-nurturing pill is? Even a high-level alchemist might not be able to successfully refine a batch of spirit pills out of 10. If you have a proper attitude, even if the furnace explodes, no one will look down on you. No matter what everyone thought, Tanguo was taking her time. Every time the alchemy furnace trembled, their eyes would twitch and they would tremble. Then, they would cover their ears, afraid that the furnace would explode in the next moment. On Tang Huan's side, she removed all distracting thoughts and threw herself into concocting pills. It could be said that she had sunk into her own world and was not paying attention to anyone else. If another furnace explosion occurred in the last round, she would definitely be angered to death. Second Miss Tang's pill furnace is shaking very fiercely. When do you think it will explode? From the looks of it, it shouldn't be too long. To be able to persist for so long, Second Miss Tang's talent is indeed very good. It's good that she's talented, but her temper isn't very good. She's also very arrogant. If only she was as gentle as Miss Tang. These people were talking louder and louder. Yizhou turned around and glared at them. They seemed to be frightened and took a step back and shut their mouths. They looked left and right to show that they were not the ones who had said those words. Yizhou was also very nervous. It should be said that everyone watching Tanguo was nervous, except for her. System, do you think my performance of the furnace explosion prelude is similar? The system's host was too arrogant. He did not want to answer. How could you play like this? Host, you can play for a while. If you continue teasing him, your cousin will cry. Chapter 166. This continued for an hour. The pill furnace in front of Tanguo kept shaking, and the shaking became more and more violent. Everyone present silently covered themselves with a layer of energy barrier. According to the situation in front of them, it was only a matter of time before the furnace exploded. Even Yizhou secretly covered himself with a thin layer of energy barrier. He looked at the pill furnace with a pitiful and pleading gaze. Cousin? Tanguo was puzzled. What's wrong? Yizhou looked at the pill furnace and said seriously, Cousin, continue. Calm down. I'm using my handsome appearance to influence the pill furnace so that it won't explode. Host, your cousin has really gone stupid. Tanguo looked at Yizhou, whose eyes were still a little red, and was really shocked. Yizhou couldn't really be about to cry, right? She looked at the pill furnace that was shaking even more fiercely and controlled it to jump up and down. Yizhou's expression became more and more ugly. His eyes were originally red, but now they were vaguely tearing up. Tanghua, host, cousin should be blaming himself for not keeping an eye on Yi Yin. He's so guilty. The lively pill furnace attracted the full attention of everyone present. Their eyes followed the pill furnace's position, and their hearts also beat fast. They silently guessed. Pill furnace, when are you going to explode? Hurry up and explode. If you're not exploding now, are you preparing for some big move? Thinking of this, the spectators all took 5 steps back. It was safer to stand a little further away. Just as everyone was thinking this, they heard a boom and waves of white smoke floated up. Their worried hearts relaxed. It finally exploded. The 3 judges also let out a long sigh and wiped their cold sweat. It finally exploded. They all walked in front of Tanghua, and one of them comforted her. The soul-nurturing pill is not easy to refine. It's inevitable that the first attempt will. Before he could say the word failure, the judge stared at the jade bottle that was extended to him. There were 10 round and fragrant white pills in it. He was stunned. He succeeded? The judge's eyes widened. He succeeded? He did an action that was very unbefitting of his status. He fiercely rubbed his eyes a few times. The soul-nurturing pill lying in the jade bottle was still there. It was so warm. It meant that it was fresh out of the oven. Top-grade soul-nourishing pills, 10 great perfection pills. When the judges came back to their senses, their faces flushed red as they announced excitedly. They almost raised Tanghua's hand and announced that she was today's winner. Everyone looked at Tanghua in disbelief, as if they were looking at a monster. They didn't want to say anything. They only wanted to kneel before this pharmacist. A high-grade spirit pill could be refined to the consummate stage just like that. He was convinced. The spectators from the various powers quietly left. It was already a fact that the eldest daughter of the Tang family was a high-level alchemist, especially one who was able to concoct great perfection alchemists. The pill he was refining was a soul-nurturing pill. Other than roping him in, he would definitely try to rope him in. Tanghuan didn't know any of this. She was completely focused on her own refinement. She opened the pill furnace without any distractions. There were 9 high-grade muscle-growing pills lying inside. She carefully placed the muscle-growing pills into the jade bottle. Only then did she reveal a comfortable smile. When she raised her head and was about to say that she had finished refining, she found that the entire hall was very quiet. Tanghuan was proud of herself. Her talent in refining pills could only be considered average. This time, even with the help of the medicine refining space, she was able to refine 9 high-grade muscle-growing pills. Seeing that everyone was as quiet as a chicken, the corner of her mouth slightly hooked up. It was normal for these people to be surprised. After all, at her age, she was able to refine 9 high-grade muscle-growing pills. She was a genius among geniuses. Chapter 167. I've already finished refining it, Tanghuan said confidently, maintaining a slight smile on her face as she spoke to the 3 judges. The 3 judges stood on Tanghua's side, and there was still smoke around them. The surrounding people were all staring blankly. Tanghuan was sure that Tanghua's furnace had exploded. The 3 of them were stunned. Most likely, they were disappointed. The corner of Tanghuan's mouth curled up. No matter how powerful she was before, the last round was the most important. From today onwards, she, Tanghuan, would also be a member of the high-level alchemists. Most importantly, that alchemy furnace belonged to her. The 3 judges reacted and didn't even have the intention to walk over. They only said to the attendant beside Tanghuan from afar, "How much did you refine? What quality did you refine?" Tanghuan frowned slightly, feeling unhappy in her heart. As expected, these people looked down on her after seeing her poor performance before. Thinking of the 9 high-grade muscle regeneration pills that she had refined, they would regret it when they found out later. However, the strange thing was that her attendant was also very calm. He opened the jade bottle and checked it, then calmly replied, "Elder, there are a total of 9 pills, all of which are high-grade." Tanghuan originally thought that there would be sounds of exclamation coming from the surroundings. It was already very rare to step into the ranks of high-level alchemists at the age of 10. Even the 3 judges should have appeared in front of her in an instant. However, she waited for a long time, but there was no reaction like she had imagined. Whether it was the 3 of them or the others present, they all had calm reactions. Not bad. I didn't expect Tang Huan to also be a high-level alchemist. One of the judges stroked his beard and smiled. This family Tang is really full of talents. To be able to personally witness their growth, this old man can be considered lucky. The other 2 hurriedly nodded, indicating that it was so. Tang Huan frowned, feeling that something was wrong. Although she was praised, the performance of the others present did not meet her expectations. However, at this time, she couldn't ask anything. She could only stand there and wait for the other alchemists to finish. Not long after, an alchemist's furnace exploded, and another alchemist refined 5 mid-grade spirit pills. Tang Huan was not surprised, and her expression was incomparably indifferent. She inadvertently glanced at Tang Hua and saw that her expression was calm. She really couldn't tell what was going on. In her impression, Tang Hua was someone who always raised her head and refused to lower her head. Even when her furnace exploded, her performance was different from others. She had to admit that her proud appearance was the one she envied the most. Regardless of whether the other party succeeded or failed, no one could surpass Zhou's temperament, that of a young lady of an aristocratic family. The Grand Alchemy Convention this time around has really allowed this elder to gain a lot. I won't say too much. There were simply too many surprises today. Next, this elder will announce the winner of this year's alchemy conference, the second daughter of the Tang family, Tang Hua. Tang Huan was waiting for the judges to announce that she had won first place. She had expected the first words, but she had never thought that the last word would be different. It was not Tang Huan, but Tang Hua. Tang Huan suddenly raised his head and asked, "Why is Tang Hua first?" In an instant, everyone's gazes fell on her. They all had the same meaning in their eyes. Why couldn't it be Tang Hua? Tang Huan felt bitter in her heart, but at the same time, she was angry. Even if Tang Hua had performed well in the first 2 rounds, she would still have to look at the results of the last round. Chapter 168. Tang Huan stared at the judge on the stage, as if she wanted him to give her an explanation. Otherwise, she would not accept this result. Elder, the Alchemy Convention pays attention to fairness. Even if Tang Hua's performance in the first 2 rounds is very outstanding, you can't just announce that she is first, right? Tang Huan felt that standing on a fair stage with so many people watching, their table manners were too unsightly. The judge looked at Tang Huan strangely and said, "Why is it not Tang Hua? She refined the top-grade Great Perfection Soul Nurturing Pill." That look in his eyes said, "Could it be that it is not Tang Hua, but you?" Tang Huan was stunned, as if he had gone crazy thinking about getting first place. Great Perfection Soul Nurturing Pill? Didn't she explode her furnace? Tang Huan blurted out without thinking. She was about to go crazy, and the smile on her face could not be maintained. Who said she exploded her furnace? The judge was still very strange. Seeing Tang Huan's absent-minded appearance, he secretly felt that it was a pity. Could it be that Tang Huan's mind was affected because of the blow? He hoped that she could adjust her state of mind. This was also a person with great talent in alchemy. "Actually, Tang Huan, you're not bad." The judge hurriedly comforted her. "Although you can't compare to Tang Hua, but to be able to reach the level of a high-level alchemist at your age, your future is limitless." Tang Huan did not feel any comfort from the judge at all. She only felt that they were humiliating her. After praising her, they immediately belittled her. Was there anyone who comforted her like this? Also, there was so much smoke in front of Tang Hua that did not disperse. Did it really not explode? Tang Huan walked in front of Tang Hua with a gloomy face. Sure enough, she saw the completely intact alchemy furnace. Her nails dug deep into her palm. "Big sister, my furnace did not explode." Tang Hua raised a proud smile, showing the arrogant character of the eldest miss of the Tang family without the slightest hint of modesty. Great perfection? Tang Huan lowered her head and also saw the soul-nurturing pills in the jade bottle. 10 milky white pills were shining with a lustrous light, lying there obediently. Her expression was a little disappointed, and her heart was even more angry. Why? She had snatched away all of Tangwa's opportunities, but the other party still rose. Could it be that she would always be trampled under Tangwa's feet? Tangwa held an exquisite and small pill furnace, and when she saw Tang Huan's gloomy expression, the corner of her mouth lifted into a brilliant smile. Big sister, do you really like this pill furnace? Tang Huan pursed her lips tightly. Tangwa's victory was a humiliation to her. But I can't give it to you. I also like this alchemy furnace very much. A high-grade alchemy furnace is not something that can be bought casually. Tang Huan clenched his fists tightly, his eyes burning with anger. She could tell that the other party was humiliating her. Host, I can sense the female lead's rage points. It's about to explode. Tangwa came down from the stage with an arrogant look on her face, looking arrogant and unruly. No matter where you were, there was no lack of people who hated the rich. Tangwa's appearance was not pleasing to the eyes of many people, and they inexplicably sympathized with Tang Huan. Host, you've offended many people. So what? In any case, they don't like me. Tangwa laughed arrogantly. I'm a high-level alchemist. No matter how much they hate me, there will be many times when they beg me in the future. System. He felt that it made sense. Cousin, you really are the best. Yizhou eagerly rushed over. He looked at the pill furnace in her hands and praised. It looks like the quality is not bad. It's barely worthy of you. It's all right. Peek. Chapter 169. Yizhou pondered for a moment. Cousin, are you not satisfied? Why don't you use it first? I'll think of a way to help you find a better one. When Tang Huan heard the conversation between the two, his eyes flashed with a sneer. He was about to go crazy. This was a divine tool. When Tangwa knew about it, she wouldn't think so anymore. Tang Huan felt regret and heartache that he didn't get the divine tool. Huan, likes that alchemy furnace a lot? Before Yizhou and Tangwa left, Yi Yin didn't dare to appear. What he did before couldn't be hidden from Yizhou. He didn't expect Tangwa to be so powerful that she could actually refine the soul-nurturing pill. Even so, he looked down on Tangwa. In his heart, Tang Huan was the most perfect. Before, I always felt that the alchemy furnace was fated with me. Tang Huan's face was calm. I didn't expect second sister to be better. I'm a little depressed. I have a premonition that if I get that alchemy furnace, my alchemy skills will improve a lot. That was a divine tool. With the help of a divine tool, how could his skills not improve? Tangwa had already been in the limelight. If she got the divine tool, she didn't dare to imagine whether Tangwa would be even more glorious than in her previous life. Even the current situation made her feel that things weren't going well. I didn't expect Huan to like it so much. If I had known earlier, I would have gotten someone to change the prize. Yi Yan's eyes flashed as he hugged Tang Huan. I'll help you find what Huan wants. Yin, second sister won't be willing. Don't force her. Although he said that, Tang Huan had no intention of stopping Yi Yin. I know what I'm doing. Yi Yan's eyes flashed with determination. Family Tang was just a small daughter. Even with the protection of Imperial Uncle, he had plenty of ways to get that alchemy furnace. It was better not to tell Huan about those dark methods, lest she worry. Cousin, are you very happy? Yizhou smiled and followed Tangwa. Cousin is a high-level alchemist. After today, the entire Immortal Peace Country will know your name. He was happy. My cousin is awesome. She's awesome. Seeing Tangwa staring at the alchemy furnace, Yizhou didn't understand. Cousin, do you like it or not? Cousin, according to my judgment, this is a divine artifact. Tangwa said casually, a divine artifact should be very valuable, right? Yizhou didn't react at first. He was stunned for a moment before he came back to his senses and said in disbelief, although it looks good, it looks so new. Is it really a divine artifact? It's a divine artifact. Yizhou compromised. If cousin says it's a divine artifact, then it must be a divine artifact. Whether or not it was a divine artifact, his cousin was right. Host, don't you feel that something is wrong? Your cousin seems to be getting more unprincipled. Tangwa patted the alchemy furnace. Initially, Yizhou did not pay much attention to it, but the alchemy furnace shook. The new and exquisite surface suddenly became simple and unadorned. He was stunned. He rubbed his incomparably handsome face in disbelief. It's really a divine artifact? Feeling the mysterious aura on it, he couldn't understand at all how it could be a divine artifact. Cousin, it should be worthy of you now. Yi Zhou, who had reacted, said this immediately. He didn't feel that there was anything wrong with his thoughts at all. 2 hours later, the two appeared outside the auction house. Yi Zhou hesitated for a while before asking, Cousin, are you really going to sell it? A divine artifact. This is a divine artifact. Cousin, you're telling me you're going to sell a divine artifact? Peak. Chapter 170. Imperial Uncle. Yi Yin stopped the two important people at the auction. Yi Zhou glanced at Yi Yin carelessly, and a cold smile flashed across his face. You still recognize me as your Imperial Uncle? Imperial Uncle, what are you doing? Are you angry with me? Yi Yan's eyes were smiling. How did I offend you? Please tell me. I will definitely apologize to you. Yi Yan thought that since he was so friendly, Yi Zhou would let it go on account that they were both members of the royal family. He would not slap his own people in the face. But Yi Zhou only smiled coldly at him and walked towards him. A familiar smile appeared on that handsome and flamboyant face. He could not remember whose face he had seen before. Then his imperial uncle rolled up his sleeves rudely and was already in front of him. Before he could react, he raised his hand and slapped him twice quickly on the left side of his face. The two slaps attracted the attention of the surrounding passers-by. The surrounding people's breathing stagnated, and they only felt hot air rushing to their heads. Yi Yan's face was swollen, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He really did not expect Yi Zhou to hit him directly and in the face. Imperial, haha, yellow mud horse. This time, Tanguo was also stunned. Cousin knew how to scold people, and he was scolding Yi Yin yellow mud horse? Before Yi Yin could say anything, he was kicked away by Yi Zhou and directly smashed into the stall behind. Yi Yin climbed up from the mess with a gloomy face and looked extremely disheveled. Yi Zhou rolled down his sleeves and walked slowly in front of Yi Yin. He said disdainfully, For elder brother's sake, it is already benevolent of this king to not break your legs. Who gave you the courage to play tricks in front of this king? If it wasn't for my cousin being so powerful and getting through that by herself, it wouldn't be as simple as hitting you twice today. Host, your cousin is so fierce. I really couldn't tell. I thought he only knew how to sweet talk. I didn't expect him to be such a violent person. The corners of Tangu's mouth curled into a smile as she watched all this silently. She didn't have the slightest intention to dissuade them. Stop my ass. Yi Yin had targeted her before, and he was Tang Huan's lover. She was already very benevolent not to kill him. What, do you have a problem with that? Yi Yin lowered his head. Even though he was being humiliated, because this person was Yi Zhou, he did not dare to retaliate at all. His imperial father had a good impression of him. If he dared to do anything to Yi Zhou, his imperial father would definitely not want him as a son. Who asked imperial father to have so many sons and only had one younger brother, Yi Zhou? Yi Yin knows I'm. Yi Yin clenched his fists. One day, he would get his revenge. When he ascended to that position, when his cultivation surpassed these people, it would be the day of his revenge. Right now, he didn't dare to cause trouble for Yi Zhou, but he wasn't afraid of Tanguo. Yi Zhou ignored Yi Yin. Yi Yin was an insignificant person. The disdainful expression on his face faded, and in an instant, he showed a complacent smile. He turned around and ran back to Tanguo's side, like a real badok. Cousin helped you teach him a lesson. Tanguo couldn't help but smile when she saw the expression, quickly praise me. Cousin is so great. Yi Zhou's smile widened. He also thought that he was great. Just as the two were about to enter the auction house, they were stopped by Yi Yin. Yi Zhou frowned. Why was little Seven so thick-skinned? Big Brother's sons were indeed very strange. Every one of them was different, but none of them had inherited Big Brother's demeanor. There must be something wrong with the girl. Imperial Uncle, I want to talk to second Miss Tang. Chapter 171. Say what? Yi Zhou had no intention of avoiding it. Just say it. Yi Yin also knew that Yi Zhou would not give way, so he used peaceful means before resorting to force. Besides, he did not dare to casually target Tanghua at this time. If Yi Zhou found out, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Unless it was a last resort, he did not want to use underhanded means for the time being. If he wanted to use it, he would plan it well so that Yi Zhou would not find out. I want to use a supreme-grade alchemy furnace to exchange for the alchemy furnace you obtained at the alchemy conference. Yi Yin took out the supreme-grade alchemy furnace. In his opinion, Tanghua would definitely agree. Wanner likes that alchemy furnace very much, but she is too embarrassed to ask. I wonder if second Miss Tang is willing? If you have any other requests, second Miss Tang can raise them as long as it is within my ability. The conditions could be said to be very generous. However, Yi Yin stared at Tanghua with a look that said, "You'd better not have any other requests." It was very sinister. Tanghua and Yi Zhou looked at each other, and the same look flashed in their eyes. When they looked at Yi Yin again, they both looked at him as if he was an idiot. Strange. Tanghua smiled. Yi Zhou continued in a strange tone. That's weird. The onlookers. What's wrong? Tanghua took out the alchemy furnace, which had returned to its previous appearance. There was a hint of a smile in Yi Yan's eyes. He knew that the other party would not refuse. Just as he thought this, he saw the alchemy furnace shake and instantly change its appearance. He secretly felt that something was wrong. Tanghua spoke. "Seventh Prince, do you take me for a fool? No matter how much you like eldest sister, you can't use your supreme-grade alchemy furnace and promise some conditions to exchange for my divine alchemy furnace just because you are the seventh prince, right?" As soon as he said this, the crowd was in an uproar. What? The seventh prince wanted to use a supreme-grade alchemy furnace to exchange for the divine alchemy furnace in the hands of the family's eldest daughter? What a bully. Who would have thought that the seventh prince was such a person? Wasn't this daylight robbery? One side of Yi Yan's face was already swollen. When Tanghua raised her voice just now, it attracted the attention of the surrounding people. His face instantly changed several colors. The surrounding voices and disdainful gazes made him feel a burning sensation. He had never lost so much face in his entire life. He felt that it must be revenge from Tanghua. How could that be a divine artifact? Was it so easy to get a divine artifact? Second Miss Tang, please don't joke around. That alchemy furnace has already been evaluated by an alchemist. It's only a high-grade alchemy furnace. You won't lose out if I trade with you. Saying these words in a calm voice had already used up all of his self-control. Seventh Prince, you want to use a high-grade alchemy furnace as an excuse to get my divine artifact alchemy furnace. This plan is really too good. Tanghua sneered. I won't exchange with you. I'm really afraid of you. Now I'm going to take this alchemy furnace to auction. If you want to go prepare your own primordial stones. You like eldest sister so much, you'll definitely buy it, right? After saying this, she shook her head regretfully. I'm afraid of the seventh prince's overbearing character. If I continue to keep it, I'm afraid that I'll die on the streets tomorrow. Yi Yan's eyes were burning with anger, but he didn't dare to say anything. Cousin, in fact, you can keep it if you want. I can protect you. No, the pressure is too great, Tanghua denied. Cousin can't always stay by my side. I'd better sell it for peace of mind. In the future, don't say that I have a divine alchemy furnace. I'll sell it immediately. Yi Zhou. Actually, you can stay by my side. The onlookers, suddenly, they felt a little sorry for the family's eldest daughter. What should they do? At the top. Chapter 172. I heard that the eldest daughter of the Tang family won first place in the alchemy convention. The prize for first place is a top-grade alchemy furnace. Your information is outdated. That alchemy furnace is a divine artifact. Your information is also outdated. The eldest daughter of the Tang family wants to sell the divine artifact. Everyone was surprised and quickly asked why. What else could it be? This person explained what he had seen that day inside. This is what it means to be a high-ranking official. Although the eldest daughter of the Tang family is usually very arrogant, she doesn't dare to offend the seventh prince. The seventh prince wants to exchange a top-grade alchemy furnace for a divine artifact for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. This operation is really unparalleled. The eldest daughter of the family Tang family feels that she can't afford to offend the alchemy furnace, so she might as well sell it to avoid dying on the streets in the future. Overwhelming rumors spread everywhere. No one knew where they came from. In short, it spread throughout the entire immortal Ping country. Some time ago, the eldest daughter of the family Tang family took a fancy to a 1,000-year-old spirit ginseng from a certain family. They didn't want to sell it, but the seventh prince appeared forcefully. In the end, they had no choice but to sell it at a low price for their safety. What's this? Someone questioned the eldest daughter of the family Tang family's alchemy skills. The seventh prince directly sent someone to smash the other party's signboard. Let me tell you a secret. A certain family's young lady went to the eldest daughter of the family Tang family twice because she had a crush on the seventh prince. The seventh prince directly ruined her family, and the whole family only moved out of Ping City yesterday. Fuck, the seventh prince is actually so cruel? Who spread the news? Yi Yen said gloomily. Find out who is going against me. Focus on those restless brothers of mine. At this moment, in the family Tang family, it's really a divine artifact? Tang Haohui couldn't believe it at all. A divine artifact was sold just like that. Go and get the divine artifact back. You don't have the ability to protect it. The family Tang will protect it. Tang Huan also looked at Tang Guo in disbelief, as if he was looking at a fool. In his previous life, when Tang Guo found out that it was a divine weapon, she covered it up so tightly that no one knew about it. Later on, when the other party's strength was unparalleled, he openly asked how he had obtained this divine artifact. At that time, legends about the Tang Guo were everywhere. Naturally, she had also heard about it when she was in the backyard. He had never thought that in this life, Tang Guo would still obtain a divine artifact. Instead of keeping it for herself, she would sell it at an auction. Take it back? Tang Guo smiled. Then may I ask, family head Tang, what are you going to do with this divine artifact after you get it back? Of course it's for Huan or Tang Haohui didn't even think about it. Since you're going to sell it and you don't care about it anyway, why don't you give it to Huan and use it to its full potential? Haha, that's interesting. I got it with my own ability. You want to give it to her? Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. The seventh prince wants to exchange a high-grade alchemy furnace for my divine artifact on the street. You're not too heartless after all. You know how to deceive people with things. But you, my dear father, are you trying to gain something without risking anything? Tang Guo widened her eyes. Could it be that I'm not your biological daughter? Tang Haohui's face turned green and white. He also knew that what he said just now was very biased. But that was what he thought in his heart. His second daughter's personality was really arrogant and perverse. He had never liked her, since he liked his eldest daughter so much. So what if Tang Guo was the daughter of the first wife? He didn't like her anyway. Of course, he would leave the good things for Huan. It's impossible to get the divine artifact back. Since you dote on eldest sister so much, tomorrow is the day of the auction. The family Tang doesn't lack spirit stones. You can go and bid. Peak. Chapter 173. I heard that the seventh prince plans to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace in order to please the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. It is said that the head of the family Tang family dotes on the eldest daughter of the family Tang family very much and wants to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace for her. Do you know the Bo family? Isn't that Madame Tang, Bo Yunzi's maiden family? Yes, that's the Bo family. I heard that the eldest son of the Bo family, Bo Shifeng, also threatened to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. Damn, this eldest daughter of the family Tang family is really popular. Isn't Bo Shifeng the cousin of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family? This cousin is really interesting. Instead of helping his cousin, he is helping an outsider. Could it be that he also has feelings for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family? Actually, that's not all. Countless people in Pingcheng are admirers of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. It is said that there are several people from the palace who look at her differently. It's just that those people haven't said anything yet. Haven't you noticed something very strange? The eldest daughter of the family Tang family is a little pitiful. A little, but fortunately, I heard that the little prince dotes on her a lot. Even if the two of them are not engaged, their relationship is still good. If it weren't for the little prince, I wonder if the eldest daughter of the family Tang family would have been swallowed by these people. Another wave of rumors spread throughout Pingcheng. If there was an internet connection here, anyone related to Tang Huan would probably be on the hot search list. Cousin, you've been wronged. Yi Zhou had heard the rumors as well, and some of the rumors had been spread by him. During this period of time by Tang Hua's side, he realized that his cousin had been abandoned by her family. Everyone only saw the arrogance and despotism of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. But who knew how much bitterness was behind this arrogance and despotism? If she was not more arrogant and powerful, she would probably be eaten up by these people. It was hard to imagine that a teenage girl bearing so much pressure on her shoulders. He took some time to investigate what had happened in the family Tang dynasty over the years. His cousin had been neglected by her family ever since she was a few years old. She was able to achieve what she had today because, firstly, she worked hard. Secondly, the Tang family still allocated the resources that should be given to her. If the family's resources were not controlled by the clan, according to Tang Haohui's personality, his cousin would not even have the resources to cultivate. It was one thing for the family to ostracize her, but the Bo family was the same, especially Bao Shifeng and Bao Ling-er. One of them was his cousin's cousin, and the other was his cousin's cousin. Instead of getting close to his cousin, they want to get close to Tang Huan. It was truly puzzling. No matter how others treat you, your cousin will always stand by your side. At this moment, Yi Zhou's heart ached for the young lady in front of him. She was only 16 years old, but her fate was so rough. That aunt of his wholeheartedly wished for her daughter to stand out. Once her cousin could not compare to Tang Huan, she would just sit back and watch. How was this raising a daughter? She was clearly treating her cousin as a tool. Cousin, you're such a good person. Yi Zhou's smile bloomed, and he was in a good mood. Tang Hua smiled. There are many people who came to auction the divine artifact. When we get the primeval stones later, I'll treat you to a meal and give you a big red packet. No need. You can keep it. I don't lack primeval stones. If you want to treat me, I'll treat you. I'm the eldest, so I should give you a red packet. His cousin was so pitiful. How could he take her things? The system silently watched the host who kept giving Yi Zhou the good person card. Seeing that this idiot cousin was still smiling, it wondered if he would curse in the future. Peak. Chapter 174. The host was not a good person. Once you let her down, no matter how good you were to her, she would remember your bad deeds. In other words, she would remember your good deeds and hate you at the same time. She was very clear about the two. No matter how good a person was to her, she would take revenge when she said she would. After she took revenge, she would continue to repay the kindness. To her, there was no pressure at all. For example, Yi Zhou. It was Yi Zhou who abandoned her first. In the future, no matter what Yi Zhou did, she would not be with him. And Yi Zhou was good to her, so she would also be good to Yi Zhou. The host had inherited all the feelings of the original body, so she naturally had feelings for Yi Zhou. To the host, having feelings did not mean that she was like an ordinary person, getting married and having children. She could love you very much, but she would not be with you. You could feel her deep love at all times, but you would not be able to be with her as you wished. For example, Long Rui and Tang Zheng. If you said that you wanted more, she would smile and say, I love you so much. I love you all the time. I care about you. I only have you in my heart. How can you be so greedy and want more? The system also wanted to curse the host. How could there be such a scary woman in the world? She was a classic example of someone who could only be seen but not eaten. Tang Haohui is here. Tang Hua looked at Tang Haohui who was walking in. Tang Huan and Lu Yinyang were beside him. At the same time, Yi Yin also came. The two of them even met. The two of them exchanged greetings and actually walked into a private room. Narrowing her eyes, Tang Hua laughed. These two are going to work together. Cousin, don't worry. It won't be that easy for them to get the divine weapon. A few days ago, I got someone to spread the news that the people who came today are not lacking in primeval stones. I guarantee that cousin will be able to earn a lot." Not long after, a young man and woman walked in. The man was handsome and the woman was cute and playful. Who else could it be but Bo Shifeng and Bo Ling? That Tanghua is really insensible. If she doesn't want the divine artifact, she might as well give it to Sister Huan Huan. Why did she have to put it up for auction? Why did she have to do something so unnecessary? Bao Linger's voice wasn't soft. Tanghua heard it, but that wasn't what she minded. Instead, it was these two people who were closest to her when she first transmigrated here. Therefore, she wondered which of the two had tripped her. "Cousin, if you don't like them, don't come into contact with them in the future." Tanghua came back to her senses and smiled. "I know. I'm just taking a look. Anyway, with my cousin here, the others aren't important." She was never stingy when it came to sweet words and honeyed words. When Yi Zhou heard this, it was as if he had eaten candy. How could his cousin be so cute and likable? Who said that she was arrogant and despotic? It was just that the outside world didn't understand her. Yi Zhou looked at Tang's exquisite and beautiful face and was stunned by the smile on her face. He was stunned for a while. When he came back to his senses, he quickly shook his head. He couldn't understand his actions just now. People came one after another, filling up the entire auction hall. Because it was a divine artifact, there were many people who came today. There were even people who came from other places. On their way here, they heard about the story behind the divine artifact auction and sighed incessantly. Of course, they also found out that Tanghua, who was selling the divine weapon, was actually a high-level alchemist. She was the kind of alchemist who could refine perfect spirit pills. Therefore, it was very hard for them to despise the person who wanted her to die on the streets. Too stupid. Peak. Chapter 175. The auction of the divine artifact had already begun. Other than the sound of bidding, it was abnormally quiet. The starting price was 1 elemental stone. The first person to speak directly bid 5 million elemental stones. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Tang Huan sat in the private room and was very nervous. She really wanted to get this divine artifact. Tanghua definitely had not used this divine artifact before and did not know its benefits. Otherwise, she would not have sold it. Yi Yin and Tang Haohui did not plan to bid for the time being. Instead, concubine Lu, who was at the side, was stunned by the way the price was called. These people added a few million at the drop of a hat. Weren't they too rich? She was a little worried. Was it really worth it to spend so many elemental stones just to buy such a divine artifact? Huan why don't we not want that divine artifact? It's too expensive. Concubine Lu's heart ached. Although she was cooperating with Yi Yin, she still felt heartache. Tang Huan frowned. "Mother, divine artifacts are rare, and it's a pill furnace. As long as there's a chance, I must get it. After I get it, the elemental stones I threw out will come back." Over the years, her own wealth was actually not small, but she did not want to expose it so quickly. She guessed that this time, without a few 100 million, she would not be able to get this divine artifact. It was actually a bit difficult to take out a few 100 million in a short period of time, unless she sold some of the shops under her hands. Especially when she thought about how these few 100 million were given to Tanghua, she was even more unhappy. But compared to the divine artifact, she did not care about the elemental stones. Concubine Lu did not understand. Tang Huan was smart, and many things were decided by her. Hearing her say this, Concubine Lu did not say anything. She only complained. "Second Miss is too insensible. It's fine if you don't want the divine artifact, but can't you just sell it to you? Don't tell me you'll let her suffer a loss. We're all family. Why are you so estranged?" Tang Haohui also deeply agreed when he heard this. In any case, he was very dissatisfied with Tanghua. It's not like she doesn't know that Bao Yunzi doesn't care about her at all. "Master, I think it's better to let Madam take care of Second Mississippi. Look at her floating outside all day. That little prince goes to her courtyard every day. They don't have an engagement. If word of a man and woman alone gets out, I'm afraid it will ruin my family Tang's daughter's reputation. I think she's anxious. Why don't we arrange a marriage for her?" Once she's married, there won't be so much trouble. Tang Haohui listened and felt that it was a good idea. If he married off Tanghua, out of sight and out of mind, he would be able to make room for Huan Er. Lu Yingyang also thought so. With Tanghua, the legitimate miss, her Huan Er would always be suppressed by the legitimate Mississippi. Bao Yunzi doesn't care about these things. I'll leave this matter to you, Shi-er. Lu Yingyang was delighted. Actually, I've already thought of a candidate. Second miss is so strong. It wouldn't be good to match her with someone too strong. I've heard that this Ho Fu has a very favored second young master. The entire Ho Fu revolves around him. He looks gentle and elegant. He's a good match for second Mississippi. Then contact the Marquis' estate. Tang Haohui didn't care who the other party was, as long as Tanghua was married off. Tang Huan raised her eyebrows. That second young master didn't have the talent for cultivation, but he had a special hobby. He liked to abuse women and listen to their screams, but she didn't mention it. She and Tanghua didn't get along well, so why should she help the other party? In the private room, Tanghua was in a good mood when she heard the rising number. She had no idea what Tang Haohui and Lu Shi-er were planning. Peak. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.